Exciting, thrilling, awesome. Let's take a look.
What's up, Met fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets with Rob, and another early afternoon game and getaway day for our New York Mets, who are finally looking to take a series from the Washington Nationals, and the first series in the last 6 series. The Mets are finally looking to take 3 out of 4 against the Nationals, while they're going to be heading back home for a tough stretch against the Rays and the Guardians. But first things first, the first order of business is to beat the Nationals today, with another chance given to David Peterson. Sooner or later, David Peterson is going to get no more chances. And if you look at what I like to call, and I spoke to Grant about this earlier today, the Buck Showalter special getaway day / right-handed dominant lineup, that Buck Showalter always seems to have a very special gift underneath the Christmas tree on getaway day. And when there's a left-handed on the mound, this lineup is something that is, I'm not going to say shocked, because this is what Buck Showalter does, especially on getaway day. No matter if it's the winner's series or not winner's series, Getaway day, he comes up with very interesting lineup. And then on top of that, a left-hander on the mound in Patrick Corbin. It is a very unique and interesting lineup. If you haven't seen it, we definitely will go over it. And it probably will make a lot of us unhappy. But again, you know what? Weirder things have happened, right? The Mets scored 8 runs in an inning, which is the first time this year they've done that. And it is, listen, we can talk about how they scored. We can talk about their big inning was just one inning. But it's something that we haven't seen from this offense basically this year. And it's nice to see a couple of guys. Like, I was talking to Grant about Starlin Marte. And, I like him in the 6th hole. It gets him out of that front spot. There's still a little bit of a situation with the top of the order. But again, if Lindor and Alonso doesn't really pick it up, it really doesn't matter who bats first or second, even though Nimmo is the leadoff guy. Second is still a work in progress. McNeil shown that he hasn't done enough batting second. We know Marte hasn't done second. So, a lot now that you've seen a lot of Buck Showalter, who was scared basically last year to move Francisco Lindor anywhere but the 3rd spot last year. Lindor is batting second more often than not, which I like Lindor in that spot. And as much as we crush Lindor and his strikeouts are up, his average is not where I want it to be, but he is top of the league in extra base hits. He is top of the league in RBIs, and he's right on par with home runs to hit his normal, the 20 to 25, and he's on pace right along with Pete Alonso to be over 100 RBIs. So we kill him, and I like to see better at-bats, specifically left-handed, but we're going to see Lindor right-handed today because of the lefty on the mound, which I love, by the way. If those guys can't get it together, not as streaky, especially Alonso. Alonso needs to pick it up. Really does Alonso? Alonso doesn't get enough grief and not enough backlash from Mets fans. You see it on Twitter. Lindor gets killed almost every single day. Yet he has the most extra base hits. He's second in RBIs, even though clutch RBIs, Lindor is by far ahead of Pete Alonso. So before we go crazy and we kill Lindor, we should start killing our homegrown men and Alonso because he has not been doing the job, at least for the last 2 weeks. At the very least, the biggest base hits and the biggest RBIs this year from this team has come from Francisco Lindor. Again, it's the average that pisses me off a little bit about Lindor, and also the strikeouts, which if he gets his average up to like 245, 250, you can live with it. But when you bat in 220, that's a little rough. And the strikeouts got to be limited a little bit. He's got to put the bat on the ball a little bit more. So we can kill Alonso. Alonso, listen, I'm not expecting Alonso to bat 270, 280, even though he batted 270 last year. But if he can bat 250 as a power hitter, I need to see more power from him. I need to see more run production there. And that is a problem that I'm not seeing with Pete Alonso, and it's killing the middle of this order. And that is the biggest issue when it comes to the top of the order. Marte was struggling, you move him. Fine, perfect. I see what Buck Showalter is trying to do there, taking Alonso out of the defensive alignment today, not playing first base. He's DHing today. So that's something that is kind of something where I think it gives Alonso a way to think about, make sure he focuses on hitting alone. That is something that I think that is a good thing for today, especially getaway day. But, they're showing Marte's at-bats, where over the last week, he's been putting together a lot more at-bats. He got 2 hits yesterday that were bloops. But we all know how hitters break out of slumps. And it might be those 2 bloop hits that Marte got that basically started the rally in both times in that same inning, that 8-run inning. That can always get somebody started. And what you always see a guy coming out of a slump is when they're not striking out at a high pace. And Marte, over the last couple of games, have been putting the bats on the ball, and now he's finding he's putting the ball where the guys are not catching him finally, even though it's a couple of bloop hits. I think that overall it gets the confidence of a batter. And to see Marte not striking out much is a great sign. But we're going to start with David Peterson, who is on the mound today. This is probably, again, without counting injuries, where David Peterson has his last opportunity to possibly keep a spot in this rotation. And I know some people are going to be like, you got to be kidding me. Listen, if without Quintana, I thought it was a huge mistake last year, and it kind of put us in a hole in September. Not a huge hole, but not having a lefty in this rotation, and then only having one lefty in the bullpen, even though, with the 26th man, 27th man, because of the doubleheader, we had the extra lefty because Rayleigh just came back. But having one lefty and possibly no lefty in the rotation, it puts the opponent in an advantage because they can stack left-handers. They don't have to change their lineup because they know there's no lefties in the rotation and there's only one in the bullpen. So there's not really much that opposing manager has to do with the lineup. I think it's so important. And I think this is the reason why Buck and the Mets are giving Peterson so many chances, because they got Quintana, because it puts a lefty in that rotation. That's a big deal. And I think a lot of people don't talk about it. And I think it's important to have a lefty in that rotation, especially when you're only throwing out that one lefty that you trust in Brooke Rayleigh, who just came back off an injury. So that's a big deal because it gives a manager a little bit of a thought process, especially when you're pitching Peterson today, right? They're not going to go left-handed dominant as much. They're going to throw out a couple of more right-handers in that lineup. And it might not be their best lineup. CJ Abrams is a guy that I believe he's in the lineup, but he doesn't have good numbers against lefties. And it might put him deeper, further down in the lineup. There's certain things that can actually change an opponent manager's thought by putting the lineup together, and also, possibly not using somebody as a pinch hitter because you're using a lefty and you still got the lefty in the bullpen. That gives that manager a little bit of a question to use somebody because of that lefty in the bullpen with a lefty starter. Again, it's not every game, but it sets up a series where if opponent's manager only sees right-handers and one lefty in the bullpen, guess what, guys? They're going to put out, and usually your best lineup is always against right-handed pitching. And that's where I always think the Mets always had a disadvantage, even though they won a lot of games last year and the pitching wasn't really a problem until September. We realized that the Mets seemed to always face the team's best lineup because they always threw out right-handers there. And then even last year, they went with one lefty. Again, they're doing it this year with one lefty. And I think it's important. And the reason why I believe they got Quintana was to mix up that rotation a little bit with a lefty in that rotation. And if David Peterson found a way to get into this rotation as well, if Carrasco failed, you could have possibly have two. So it gives the opposing manager a weaker lineup in some parts of the series, which I think is important. Like you see the right-handed lineup, heavy lineup, when there's a lefty on the mound who faced the Mets, right? It's not as strong as a Mets lineup that is facing right-handed pitchers. And I think that's something that nobody likes to talk about. And I noticed that as of late. And it's a stupid way to go about it. But this is the reason why when people say, why are we still going with Peterson? Well, the Mets really don't have a lefty that they can probably go to in the minors at this point. And I don't think they're going to bring up Hamill or Asvesel or Tidwell, because maybe Hamill is probably the one that's closest. But again, they're going to go with Peterson because they think he has the stuff to be a fourth or fifth guy. And because you've seen it from him before. You've seen it last year from him. So I think this is going to be his last opportunity before the Mets really have to make a decision, because Carrasco's coming back. They already said that he's going to probably come back in this rotation either Friday or Saturday. So he's coming back in this rotation, right? He's going to replace Peterson. That's obvious. But there's also a possibility that Peterson might pitch well today, and just maybe the Mets might go to a 6-man rotation to help out all their starters. But we'll see what happens with that. And yeah, committee, I think he's due for a good start, but what does that really mean, right? Alonso's been due to do some damage over the last 2 weeks. He hasn't gotten it done. There's a lot of guys. Canna's finally starting to look like the Canna that is starting to get hot like he did a couple of weeks last year where you couldn't get him out. So, it's nice to see Canna performing a little bit better to where we expect him to not be, that guy that puts the bat on the ball, high on base guy, put it in not many strikeouts. That's what Canna is. The alarming thing with Canna, yes, is the average and not really providing much offense, but he was striking out a ton. And Canna didn't do that a lot last year. He put the ball in play. And we are going to get to the lineup in just a second. We got about 6 minutes until game time. So once again, Peterson is probably his last chance to try to find a role in this rotation with the Mets, or he's just going to be left in the minors, God forbid of another injury. That's basically what it is. Yeah, but the problem is Joey Lucchesi hasn't pitched well either. Like, if the Mets had a choice of which lefty they want pitching in this rotation, it's obvious. All the chances they've been giving Peterson should tell you that they want Peterson to be in this rotation more than Joey Lucchesi. Joey Lucchesi can be a guy that can be a lefty long man in your bullpen or a bullpen piece as well. So that's something that the Mets were talking about prior to Lucchesi coming back from injury, where if all these injuries wouldn't have happened, Lucchesi was either going to be in the minors for depth or be a part of this bullpen. And that is something that I think should be, because, again, I don't care which one pitches well. You need a lefty in this rotation. The Mets did not get Jose Quintana for kicks and giggles, all right? They got him because they needed a lefty in this rotation, and because Bassett was so good, and Walker was pretty damn good, and Carrasco held his own and was pretty good last year. And we all know about Scherzer, and we know with DeGrom coming back in the second half. There was no spot for a lefty because why take anybody out? In this situation where you weren't bringing back Walker, and you weren't bringing back Bassett, the Mets found the opportunity to say, hey, we can get Jose Quintana, who's been, for the most part, healthy is mostly his career and has been an innings eater. That's what you need. You need a guy where when an opponent manager sees a lefty on the mound that day, they got to put their weaker lineup out there. And it's something that nobody doesn't want to talk about. And it's crazy to me because it's so important, because the Mets have faced the most left-handed pitchers, starting pitching, in baseball in the first 41 games, 42 counting today. Most games against left-handed starting pitching. And that's not a coincidence, guys. And the weaker lineup for the Mets is when they face left-handed pitching, because of the fact, as you see, Beatty could hit lefty. I think Beatty can play every day. That's not a problem. But you see, you might have to think about it. Beatty's struggling right now. He doesn't look good against lefties right now. So what happens? Escobar's playing today. It's a lot of things. Canna's moving up higher in the lineup. Tommy Pham is your cleanup hitter today. Like, a lot of things changed the lineup. And a lot of people don't talk about that. So before the game gets started, guys, we're going to go through the lineup, and I'm going to share the screen right now. So we're going to get ready for Mets Nationals, game 4 of the series. And the Mets looking to take 3 out of 4 and win a series for the first time in basically since, the middle of April. So it's about time the Mets get back on track here before they head back home to face the Rays and the Guardians. So here we go, guys. The New York Mets lineup for today. Brendan Nimmo leading off, playing center field. Francisco Lindor, I love Lindor in his 2-hole, batting short, especially right-handed. Playing shortstop, batting second. Alonso, DHing today, batting third. And like I just said, Tommy Pham playing left field, cleaning up. And the numbers against Corbin is actually pretty good. So I think that's why Buck Showalter, even though I don't like Pham in the cleanup spot, again, after the first inning, or after your first time at bat, where you bat in the lineup really does not matter. But cleanup, Pham batting fourth, left field. Canna playing first base today. Obviously, Alonso's DHing, batting fifth. Starlin Marte, who showed a little bit of signs of breaking out here, with those bloops. I think that's going to give him a little bit of confidence. Batting sixth. I like Marte in his sixth spot. Playing right field. Jeff McNeil batting seventh, playing second base. Eduardo Escobar is playing over Brett Beatty. A cause and effect. Why? Lefty on the mound with Beatty struggling. Why not get Escobar out there, who is a better right-handed hitter, by the way? Batting eighth, playing third base. And, of course, Francisco Alvarez is a mainstay in that 9-hole and catching for today against Patrick Corbin. So you see how this lineup with Pham, Canna, right there, 4-5, where you wouldn't see those guys probably anywhere near the top 5 against a right-handed batter. You'll see Canna and Pham lower in the lineup. But again, when you have to put a weaker lineup out there because your strongest lineup is against right-handed pitching, and again, the Buck Showalter special, which I call it, is getaway day, and it also entails a left-hander on the mound. So it's a premium Buck Showalter special where getaway days, no matter if it's to win the series or not. Buck Showalter always did this last year. Nobody talked about it enough because the Mets are winning like crazy last year. But it's not something that he did differently this year than he was last year. The only difference is the Mets are losing. That's the only difference. So this is not surprising. If you go back on Sundays or getaway days for the Mets, it was always, no matter if you were trying to win a series or lose a series, or you weren't able to win a series, getaway day was always a Buck Showalter special lineup. And it's not going to change because this is what he does. Again, he puts faith in the players he puts out there, which I have no problem with. If you're a manager and you got faith in your team, and the players see that as well. You know, the guys like Escobar saying, wow, I haven't played in like 4 or 5 days. I'm getting a start here. You want to do some damage. I get that. But this is not the strongest lineup. And again, I wouldn't have done this, but why expect different from Buck Showalter when he's done this last year when they were successful, and this year so far, because he did the same thing last year, they're just not getting it done with basically the same players in the lineup. So with that said, that is your lineup for today's Monday, for Monday, getaway day before the Mets head back home without any days off until after the Rays series, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I'm right about that, but it could be very, very wrong. Let me just check really quickly. I think it is. I think you get an off day on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what I saw. Could I be wrong? I could be wrong. Let's see. Nope, we don't get no days off until Monday, next Monday. It's the 22nd. So that's my bad, but hey, that's why we're live, right? So with that said, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. Patrick Corbin is on the mound warming up. Brandon Nimmo is going to be heading to the plate just now. You know the drill. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you can hear the audio once I put it up. And on top of that, let's get a Let's Go Mets chant. 3 out of 4, guys. Let's go. Brandon Nimmo walking to the plate. Mets are going to try to go for a 3 out of 4 against the Nationals, which, you know, is nothing to tip your cap about, but it gets the Mets back on the right track and back to 500 heading home. So let's go, guys. Hit on that like button. If you're a new subscriber to the channel, say what's up in the chat and let me know where you're watching from or listening. So here we go, guys. Brandon Nimmo leading off. See if the Mets can put up some runs here against Patrick Corbin.
Nimmo on a roll right now, 5 for 12 in the series, and he takes Corbin's first fastball for a strike, and we're underway. Nimmo starts today 4th in the National League in batting average at .320, 6th in the league in on-base percentage at .410. And lefties have given him no woes. He's hitting .333 against left-handers.
How about Brandon? Boy, he had a little hiccup, a mini slump. Boy, he bounced out and has been sculling the ball of late.
Once again, guys, the lineup and the pitching matchup is on the bottom, scrolling at the bottom of your screen if you just came in there.
Back in center field for this.
Come on, Brandon, let's go.
Corbin now 31 years old from upstate New York up near Syracuse. And Nimmo just got a piece of that sinker to stay on the at-bat.
There you go, Joe. And the locker. Let's get it going, baby. Let's go.
Bayheim at Syracuse. But he was such a great
NTA prodigy. The Mets are counting on it big time.
But he has fallen on hard times since he was such a big piece of the Nationals World Series championship year in 2019.
Brandon Nimmo check swing, and he did not go. All right, here we go. 2-2. Come on.
In fact, was the
It's going to be a long day on this channel, guys. After this game, 8 o'clock tonight, me and Hayden for the Shea Bridge show, talking about – hold on. Ground ball. That's a base hit from Nimmo. There we go. Agreed, Joe. I think it's your fault. So, once again, guys, after the game, whenever, this game might end by 6:37, but 8 o'clock, the Shea Bridge show, me and Hayden, we're going to go over this prior week against the Nationals and the Reds, and we're also going to go over the Rays and Guardians series and talk about the Mets a lot more at 8 p.m., so make sure you be there, guys. All right, Lindor is here. I love him batting right-handed. See what he can do. And that's a fly ball. Oh, he got under that ball. God damn it. That was a pitch to hit, 1 out. Hey, Joe, if you can talk about Correa still, I can talk about it being your fault.
Series with the glove, motoring all over that.
Well, Ken, we were talking about MVP Nimmo. Well, you were. But no, hey, Nimmo's been really good this year. I can't kill him at all. All right, Pete Alonso. Let's see if Pete can get going here. Pete Alonso has crushed Patrick Corbin in his career. So this might be a way to get Alonso out of his slump.
It's such a strange year. You look at Lindor and Alonso, and they're doing something that is actually historic. They're both hitting under 250, and they each have 31 RBIs. No teammates in Major League history have ever done that before through the first 41 games of the season.
By the way, guys, can you hear the stream? The audio? I just want to make sure.
In the same lineup, they've been incredibly productive despite relative dearth of hits.
Come on, Pete.
Alonso's got 5 career home runs against Corbin, and he takes a changeup blown away, and it's 2-1. They're just one behind Sean Murphy of the Braves for the National League lead in RBIs. The Major League leader is Adolis Garcia of Texas. He already has.
Okay, great, guys. Thank you.
Runs batted in after
Come on, Pete.
5 against Oakland yesterday. Do you get full credit for driving runs against Oakland? Sure do. Fastball in for a strike to Alonso, and it's 2-2.
Been pitching Pete in a lot.
Anthony, buddy, I appreciate you for the super chat, buddy. I really do appreciate it. And I'm glad you guys are joining me. I appreciate that as well. That doesn't go unnoticed. But I appreciate you guys enjoying the content. Shout out to Anthony for the super chat. I appreciate that. Up the middle. Oh, double play. God damn it. All right, so that was a double play to end the inning from Pete Alonso. And the inning is quickly over after that. So Pete Alonso hit hard. The second baseman was playing somewhat up the middle, and he hit into a 4-4-3 double play, and that ends the inning. So Mets, once again, do not score in the first inning. It's been an absolute disaster in the first inning for the Mets. They've been outscored by like close to 30 runs in the first inning. And again, it would be nice if we don't trail in the first inning again. But and I didn't even bring this up in the pregame. It doesn't get unnoticed, and Anthony, I'm going to use that word again, unnoticed, that when the Mets get quality starts, it's easier to come back in a ball game when you're trailing, right? When the Mets won these last couple of games, right? What was the difference, right? 2 runs given up, 1 run given up, big difference, right? Scherzer gave up 1 run yesterday, but guess what? He pitched pretty damn good, and we didn't even bring that up, right? Pitched very well yesterday. His fastball was a tick. Was 95, 96 later in his game as well, which is great to see. And his sharpness of his pitches were a lot better as well. And that is also important. When you get quality starts, and I'm not talking about 7 innings, 2 runs, or 3, which I would love that. But if you get 5 to 6 innings, 1 or 2 runs, even 3 every now and then, it gives your offense a chance to get that 1 big hit instead of needing 4, 5, 6 big hits to come back into a ball game. So we're going to the bottom of the first, no score. David Peterson, and this is my opinion, might be his last chance to stay in this rotation. So here we go, guys. Committee, I'm not moving Marte in this lineup yet. Not yet. He just started to get it together a little bit Keep him where he is. Don't put the pressure on him in the top of the order yet. All right, come on, David. Let's go. Uh-oh. That's in the gap. Jesus Christ. Wow. Can't make it up, guys. Well, I'm not going to kill David Peterson there because of the fact that he's trying to get ahead on the first pitch of the ball game. But, he was trying to, do a get-me-over fastball to start it off with a strike. And the guy swung. I mean, not really. What is Peterson supposed to do there? He's trying to get ahead in his first pitch of the game. I'm not going to kill him there. But we'll see. Anthony, we need him to be decent. I don't even know good anymore. Give us, like I said, 5 innings, 3 runs. I'll take that at this point. Anthony, once again, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I appreciate that.
360 with 5 home runs.
Come on, David, let's go.
Part of the 316. 316 is alarming too.
Yeah, they hit 220 against them last year, so a huge difference. Garcia drives one out to center. Nimmo eases back. He'll get
all right, one out, and Thomas goes to third on all right. One thing that we have to watch for Peterson, and it's very obvious, if he does not have a sharp slider, he's going to be in trouble. And that was a hanging slider. That was the first one he thrown. But, it was hit right at somebody, so you get away with it. But got to be careful with that slider.
Your foundation.
Here's Joey Meneses, who's hitting .410 with runners in scoring position. And he fouls off.
Yeah, Meneses has been good with. It's a guy that puts the bat on the ball. It's always dangerous in guys in the spot. He's batting over 400 with runners in scoring position. That's insane. Oh, not this year, that's for sure. Come on, David, let's go.
Meneses has been hitting extremely well. 8-game hitting streak, and he drives one to left field, cutting across his face.
And that's a run for the Nationals. And there we go with first inning troubles once again. 1-0 Nationals, another run against the Mets in the first inning where the Mets are trailing once again. So 2 doubles in the first inning. And there was a slider. Slider that did not break. And there you go again. That was Fam had no chance in that spot there. Again, it's right there, right on the plate, knee high.
Gabriel Ruiz, the switch hitting catcher.
Trying a curveball there.
Below the strike zone, ball 1. Ruiz 2 for 7 in this series. Didn't play the night game yesterday. But he has caught more innings than any catcher in the major leagues this year. And back in there today. Peterson. This is below the strike zone with the changeup, and it's 2-0. Peterson's last start was Tuesday in Cincinnati, first game of that series. He lasted just 3 1/3 and gave up 4 runs. And this one's gotten off to a rocky beginning.
Come on.
And Ruiz takes a strike with a fastball 2-1.
I'm sorry, Gary. You just got to keep the ball down.
Perfect, Joe.
I feel like a broken record.
Come on, David.
Working so hard on his mechanics to try and get his fastball going in the right direction. His fastball
not getting that breaking ball over.
Hitters because he feels he's been too rotational, but you wonder when you're making a mechanical adjustment how it affects you in other ways. 3-1 now to Ruiz with Alex Call on deck. Meneses leads off second with 1 out, and Ruiz fouls back with a sinker, and it's 3-2.
And you could tell David Peterson's trying to aim that fastball. He's not throwing as hard either, which is a little worrisome.
Turner to LA, and Ruiz, big part of the Nationals' future. 3-2 for Peterson. Off the fists.
Ground ball.
Right side from
and 2 outs, and the runner moves to third. That was a good piece of pitching there for that batter against Ruiz. 2 outs. See if he can get out of this with only 1 run. Super. Listen, it's not pretty, but let's see if he can get out of this with one run, and maybe he, I don't know, regroups. I guess we can say it's crazy to me. I mean, the Mets had high hopes for him this year. I mean, he had a really good year last year when he stepped in. All right, come on, David. Maybe a little bit of a confidence booster to get out of this inning with only one run. Come on, David.
8 for 21 against the Mets, 381 batting average. And he's at 314 against lefties. Up and down this lineup, they've got guys who have really hit lefties well. So Lucas feeds as that fastball runs inside. It's 1-1. And the number that's really startling for Peterson is that with the opposition sitting 368 with runners in scoring position. So when he's gotten in jams, he's had trouble getting out of them.
Nice pitch. Good slider.
Good looking slider.
All right, got him 1-2. Problem with David Peterson this year, especially with 2 outs and 2 strikes, he hasn't been able to get that put away pitch that he's been looking for.
Made his debut in 2020. It's had many impressive moments as a Met, but
come on, David.
So far this year. 1-2 coming to call.
Oh, that was a nice slider. Stayed alive. That was a good slider there.
It wasn't for the injuries to starting pitching, going north out of spring training.
Well, you know what? It's funny that you say that because right now his delivery is a little bit more faster. His windup, or at least from the stretch, is a little bit quicker than what we've seen. So maybe that's a good sign. It might not be. You still got to make your pitches, but let's see if he's going to go high fastball here. He tried it. Not a bad idea. 2 sliders in the dirt. Try to go up, but he missed his spot. That's another big problem. He's throwing that slider low, and he can't spot that fastball a little above letter high where hitters love to swing at. Are they going to go to the slider or go back to the fastball? Let's see. Goes back to the fastball, and he fouls it off again. So not a bad pitch there. You see 96 miles an hour on the gun for Peterson. 18 pitches in the first inning. Not exactly where you want to be, but it's God. Come on, David.
Seventh pitch of the at-bat coming from Peterson to call.
Another nice slider, and he just fouled it off. That was 3 sliders in a row. 3 sliders that he's thrown that Cole fouled off. They were good pitches. Just good piece of hitting right there, staying alive in the at-bat by Cole. All right, so a couple of sliders in the, ankle high. Is going to go back to that high fastball, but he's got to hit the spot. Let's see what he's doing here. They're going high. Here it comes. And he struck him out. Throw to first, easy. And that ends the inning. So there you go, guys. Peterson limited the damage to 1 run. Got a big strikeout against Cole, the slider. And that at bat looked a little bit more sharper, a little bit more of a tight spin. So nice to see Peterson get out of that first with 21 pitches. So not too bad considering how it started. And let's go, guys. Got to get runs here. Again, the point of this whole thing, quality starts. That's what we need to see. Again, the pitch count so far for Peterson, you don't want it to be 20, 21 pitches in the first, but you got to help him out too. There's a lot of times I'm not going to kill the lineup considering the fact that Peterson's given up like 4 or 5 runs almost every time he pitched. But guess what? He got out of that inning. And again, sometimes, and I know these guys are professionals. We talk about this all the time. And you even hear players talk about it. When you're going onto the mound, when you go into the plate and you have no confidence that you're going to get it done because you've been so bad or you're in a big slump, it's not easy. And I think that's why we keep on talking about Marte, that even though those 2 hits in that 8th inning rally the Mets had yesterday, they were 2 blue hits, but they were crucial hits. And that might just give Marte the confidence he needs to get going. The same thing with Peterson. That's a big strikeout right there against a pretty good hitter in Cole. So it's nice to see that. And again, hopefully he takes that confidence and he's throwing a better slider over the last couple of batters. So that's a good sign as well. Let's hope Peterson can get that freaking crap together because hopefully the Mets can score runs here. Again, Patrick Corbin is a complete shell of himself. The Mets have destroyed Corbin, but again, the same team last year that has destroyed Patrick Corbin, they're not pitching well right now. Roberto, I have no idea. You look at the lineup, and it's basically the same lineup, right? They should be scoring these runs, but they're not right now. You just hope they turn it around. So Pham is leading off. The cleanup hitter today. Top of the second, 1-0 Nationals. JL, how you doing, buddy? Come on, Tommy.
Corbin, excuse me.
Last time Pham hit cleanup, he was a San Diego Padre in 2021.
So there's a big reason why Tommy Pham's at the top of the lineup. I didn't know what he was hitting against Corbin, but he's batting .500 against Corbin, 6 for 12. So that's probably why Buck wanted him in the lineup. And he hits a fly ball, and that ball keeps traveling. Oh, 401 feet. A couple more feet, that's a home run. He just missed that. Jesus.
Just to the right side of that 402 sign.
Super. Sometimes I'm ahead of people. It depends on where you are too, right? Obviously I'm in New York, so I'm getting the SNY feed directly, and YouTube is like 2 or 3 seconds behind. And then if you're watching it, on MLB TV because you're not in New York, you might have a little bit longer of a delay, and I might be a few seconds ahead of as well.
Now that's got overpowering stuff, but you don't need to throw.
Well, yeah, Todd, because they're losing. To be honest with you, that's the reason why. I wish I could go tomorrow, but I can't. I got too much going on. But I'm going Thursday, thanks to Sean, who is listening right now at work as he texts me. Him and his wife were awesome. They bought a ticket for me because they wanted to meet me and sit at a game. And I mean, this was November, December, if I'm not mistaken, when they bought these tickets. And I do appreciate him and his wife for doing that. So I'm going to meet them too. And that is a pop-up from Canna. Should be 2 outs. Quick 2 outs for the Mets. So I do appreciate that. And I know Sean's listening right now, which is awesome. So I do appreciate that. So Thursday I'll be hanging out and sitting with those two cool couple. And obviously talk a lot of baseball. And then Saturday I'm going with the 7 line. So that's going to be fun with the Francisco Lindor bobblehead, which will be very, very hot to get. And that's a base hit for Marte. Marte is back, guys. I'm telling you.
So after a couple of not very well struck hits yesterday, a bullet just pitcher's ear.
Listen, Ben, I'll take the heat. And listen, I took the heat from Ken. Listen, now I don't think anybody could predict how well Nimmo has been all around, like better than expected. And listen, I'll take the heat for it. I said the same thing about McNeil, that I didn't think he was going to come back to the level that he currently was when we first saw him. I take the heat for it, but that was my opinion. I'm allowed to be wrong just like you guys are, right? Marte's running, and that's a stolen base, and he's going to third. There we go. All right, Marte looks healthy, doesn't he? Stolen base, ball gets past the second baseman, and Marte gets to third base. So, guy on third with 2 outs. Big at bat for McNeil here to get this run in. Well, Todd, they haven't kept winning. They lost 4 in a row, and they lost a couple of bad games against Toronto. Committee, I don't know. I'm not going to move a guy who's just starting to hit. Leave him there for a little bit because it helps the bottom of the order. But let's see if McNeil can get it done here. Base hit ties the game. Come on.
Jeff down to the 7th spot against the left-hander. Takes a sinker low and in, 1-1.
Jeff had a 1 for 9 yesterday in the doubleheader.
He's having a rough road trip, just 4 for 27.
McNeil's struggling right now.
Games on this trip so far.
Maybe get him going here, getting this RBI in.
With a lot more respect.
Just inside, good eye.
See, the pitch clock, I think, got in the way of getting the other bit on. So he just held it.
That could major deke right there, too, could be.
No, but after bet on, you're not going to throw. 2-1 to McNeil.
And that's a base hit. There we go. That's a 2-out RBI. There we go, Jeff. Maybe that gets Jeff going. Tie ball game. There we go. That's the Mets of old, isn't it, guys? 2-out RBIs. That is few and far between this year. And McNeil has been struggling. Nice to see him get that 2-out RBI there. There we go. All you need is a little bit of confidence, guys. And that run right there is all from Marte. 2-out hit, stolen base, and then getting the third on the bad throw. There you go, guys. Come on, Eddie. And that's a base hit. All right. There we go. How about this? 3 straight 2-out hits, boys. That's what I'm talking about. Francisco Alvarez coming up. Nice to see. Nice to see. Not a great pitch, but got it off the end of the bat. Good piece of hit in there, staying with that pitch. Now Francisco Alvarez, who Alvarez has been pretty good with the bat, but he has struggled with runners on base this year since he's been up. So let's see if he can get something done here. Come on, Francisco, let's go.
Alvarez sitting ninth in the order. 2 on and 2 out.
Oh, swinging for the fences there. Not a pitch to swing at.
Francisco, what I've observed,
He gets a little jumpy with runners on base there.
I'm sure he's not pleased with where his batting average is at, but he's searching and getting experience. But when the men are on base, where a base hit can drive in a run, he gets a little over anxious. There's chase out of the strike zone too.
And it's hitting just 150 with runners in scoring.
Good eye. There you go. He spit on that slider that was in the dirt. Remember, Corbin's a guy. And again, they're showing the numbers with runners in scoring position. 150 with runners in scoring position. A lot of strikeouts with runners in scoring position. So, got to get a little bit better with that.
That's with 3 straight 2-out hits down at the bottom of the order. And now Alvarez
Good eye.
back with a fastball, and it's 2-1. Corbin seems to be getting hurt more on his fastball than on any other pitch today, and that's certainly been the case so far in this game.
All right, Frankie.
More sinkers than 4-seamers these days.
Ball 3.
And he fires that one a little bit high. Now falls behind Alvarez 3-1. Brandon Nimmo would be next.
And he does not want to lose Alvarez and load the bases for a red-hot Brandon Nimmo. So this stayed up the middle.
Alvarez licking his chops on 3-1. He swings and fouls it back.
He had a hanging slider right there that he missed. Fouled it off. Full count, runners will be going. So anything in the gap or down the line will score 2. Roberto, let's hope so, man. We need a run here. You know, we need to go on. I know it's going to be rough. And I don't know why people keep on calling me. Jesus.
4 hits for the first 8 batters against Corbin. Let's give it up. 58 hits now came into the day. 3rd highest hit total allowed in the National League.
And that's ball 4. Bases loaded. Brandon Nimmo coming up.
Loaded for Nimmo. Walk for Corbin. Loses the number 9 hitter.
Well, if he gets hurt here, he's going to hit himself with that at bat.
Nimmo had a tough at bat first time up. Fouled it off with a really tough pitch on 2-2, and then got a base hit through the hole on the right. Brandon's hitting 333.
Come on, Brandon.
Scoring position. Comes up with the bases loaded and 2 down. McNeil at 3rd, Escobar at 2nd, Alvarez at 1st, and Nimmo.
Ooh, Nimmo going after the first pitch. Not a bad idea, considering Corbin can't get his slider over, so he's going to go with that fastball there.
Brandon's now hitting 6 straight.
Sutton, wouldn't that be nice?
10 for 21 over the 6 games.
But I'll take a base hit. That should score 2.
Brandon takes inside for Ruiz.
Oh, no. Frankie, what are you doing? Oh, another base running error. What are you doing?
Oh, boy, a little bit of his own medicine there. Alvarez loves to throw, too.
Jesus Christ. Again, guys, there's no reason for Francisco Alvarez to be anywhere far off the base, considering the fact that his base is loaded and he's not going anywhere. Oh God, that just kills it. so much. And you got one of your best hitters in your lineup right now up. What are you doing? God, Jesus. You can't make those mistakes. And again, this is the thing when you got, again, I'm not trying to kill Alvarez here, but this is what happens when you want young players up. They make stupid mistakes. Again, we always look at the numbers in the minors, and you don't see him play every day. You only see the highlights, but you don't see the bad that comes with it. Again, this is what the Mets might see on too many occasions, where it's boneheaded mistakes by Alvarez and other prospects. When people, I'm not going to give him a break. There's no break there. I'm sorry. You're a professional. You're in the big leagues now. There's no reason to be that far off of first base. You got a bases loaded. You're not going anywhere. That's just a stupid bonehead play. I'm not giving him a break there. You don't have no speed. So it's not like, there's a pretty good chance you might not score in a ball in the gap, most likely. You can't do that. We talked about the Brandon Nimmo stealing second with 2 outs. Down by a couple of runs there with less than 2 outs. And killing the chance of coming back in a ball game. It happened way too many times this year. But it comes back to the fact that also, again, you can blame Alvarez because he's the runner. Like, look how far off of first base he is. Look at that, is way too much of a secondary lead. There's no need for that at all. God damn it.
I'm wishing that.
All right. Well, we tied the ball game. Let's see if Peterson can.
Wide open.
God damn it.
Swings and pulls that ball.
Well, Ken, that would be even worse. Ground ball. Lindor should. Nice play. What a play by Lindor to get Candelario. 1 out. Lindor has been great defensively this year, which is another plus from him.
Not an easy hop when he makes the pick here. But most impressive on that play, folks, is I thought this was going to be a long hop. He'd throw a long hop to the first baseman. Look at the strength of the arm. Right on the money and a laser beam.
There we go.
Very helpful.
Sometimes you need a little help from your defense every now and then when you're a pitcher. Come on, David. Nice quick inning here.
So when you run a play like that, pickoff play with bases
nice
loaded,
pitch.
picking off a back runner, who makes the call?
It could be the cat. Well, when I played with Gary Carter, it would be I could give the sign with my throwing hand, would it be a fist, and Gary would be crouched, and he'd have his right hand, and he'd have to answer with a fist.
What's interesting today is with the pitch comm, certain fielders wear the pitch comm as well as.
There you go. Strike 2. Nice pitch.
Have 3 or 4 other pitch comm devices, so you could actually do a verbal sign with the pitch comm.
100% agree, Amir. 100%. Ooh, slider just missed. That was a good slider.
So this is before. Is there any kind of? Oh, that could be the sign there going for the dirt. Who knows? Not speculating.
3-2 to Smith. Dom flicks 1 foul.
But there has to be an answer because if you don't want Dom coming in and.
Well, he batted 263, but
doesn't see the signs.
I thought he'd be better, to be honest with you. I thought he'd show a little bit more power, but
it's like Roger over and out.
We would take a 260 hitter. Oh, strike 3. Nice pitch. See? Spotting that fastball. 2 outs. Smith got looking for a slider there, and he got a fastball on the outside corner. Steve, well, looked good considering the fact that he only went 5 innings, but I didn't think he was going to go further than that after, 11 days off, 9 days off, whatever it was.
Garrett, the left fielder, he takes a curveball down for ball 1. Garrett's 0 for 5 in this series.
I mean,
great numbers against lefties this year, hitting .381 against left-handers.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't he be worth that? I mean, he's a 40 home run guy, 1,400 RBI guy. If you look around the league, any player who has that is usually getting that type of money. All right, so Peterson looks sharp right now, but the Mets' big problem this year was with 2 outs, trying to get out of an inning, even with nobody on. There's been a lot of 2-out rallies against teams,
Yes.
against the Mets this year.
Not limestone.
Talc. Look at Garrett.
Come on, David. This is the problem, with a lot of the Mets pitching. They get 2 outs, and then they try to, make perfect pitches when you need to challenge a guy with nobody on base with 2 outs.
Garcia with a long fly ball. Retired the last 4. And Garrett rifles one.
And that should end the inning right at VENMO, and it does. So that's a quick inning for David Peterson, getting that pitch count back on track. So nice second inning for Peterson. Mets are coming back up, top of the order. Ryan, Chris Davis had one good year of his career and got a big contract and was a shell of himself. Pete Alonso is still on pace to hit 45 home runs and knock in easily over 100 RBIs. So, again, Ryan, you're probably not a Mets fan. I'm assuming you're either, let's see, probably a Braves fan. I'm going to go Yankees fan because Yankee fans always have something to say, considering, which, is fine. You can root for your team, but don't be a troll. There's no need for that. So, good news is Peterson actually looked like he can be on a mound in the second inning. A lot better. He got out without causing more pitches in an inning, getting out with 2 outs and nobody on. That's crucial for Mets pitching. They haven't done that a lot this year. All right, I'm seeing people. Yeah, well, what I think Ken is talking about is the fact that, Dominic Smith with no power was batting like under the Mendoza line. Batting 263 would be fairly helpful. It's just the fact that, Dom probably wouldn't be playing every day if he was a Met. So he probably wouldn't be hitting 263, right? Dom with no power and batting 263, that's where you're getting for an everyday player. So for everybody, the Dom squad that was so crazy when he was a Met, always wanted Dominic Smith in the lineup. You're getting a guy that has basically no power anymore and batting barely over 250. So, again, he wouldn't be playing every day if he was a Met. So, all right. So Mets going to be up in the top of the third, top of the order. Unfortunately, Nimmo had an opportunity with the bases loaded, but Francisco Alvarez acted like a base stealer there and tried to take a huge secondary lead for no reason when he ain't going anywhere with somebody in front of him at the base paths. So let's get runners back on and do some damage here.
Back facing the top of the batting order, Nimmo at a base hit to right his first time up. Lindor and Alonso follow.
Hey, they might perform better than Bassett, Scherzer, and DeGrom, right? And that's a pop-up. Should be the first out of the inning. And it is. Joe, I thought so too. I mean, before the Red Series, they said in the coming days, Mauricio was going to get called up. So I don't know what the reason was. I thought he'd be up by now, but I don't know. That's what they said. Like, that was the news going around. That was the quote, actually, from reporters, that in the coming days, Mauricio is going to be called up. I don't know what happened.
And also have a winning road trip.
Yeah, but Ken, here's the problem with that. You only got 2 catchers. If you take him out of the ball game and put in Perez, if he gets hurt, McNeil's going to be behind the plate. Ryan, have you paid attention to baseball? And by the way, he batted 269 last year by hitting over 40 home runs, and that might be gone. Oh, wow. That's going to drop? Oh, what a catch. Wow. That's a nice catch by Garrett right there. 2 outs. That was not an easy play. That would have been a double, maybe even a triple. If that ball got past him, that's a hell of a play.
Beautiful backhand on the slide. Very athletic.
They have to go reach off the line between them. What happens if there's a ball hit there? There's no chalk.
You got to rely on the umpire. It's a little dicey.
Figure the grounds crew put in enough work before last.
Yes, that's Jeremy Reed, who's third
Darren Ruff has been signed but picked up by the Brewers. I know people got nervous there. I thought it was the Mets, right?
Interesting. He always tells
He is the emergency catcher, McNeil. Yes. I wouldn't call him a third string catcher. Lonzo swinging at that damn slider.
When he's up, he's had success because he's coming up and in.
And slider down, though, that's always been his primary weapon, and it's been pretty good so far. Of course, light meeting the pressure. Since the beginning of last year, nobody's close to Pete Alonso in RBIs. Led the National League last year.
Come on, Pete.
Behind the leader coming into today.
He's been a little off. He's getting his base hits, but he's not on all cylinders right now.
Hit a couple of home runs in Cincinnati. He's not had one of this series. This is the ballpark where he normally thrives. He's 12 career home runs in this ballpark.
And Alonso strikes out to end the inning. And Corbin and Peterson go back-to-back innings or half innings pitching better. And again, it took a nice play down the line by Garrett to make this not a possible run-scoring inning for the Mets. But again, Alonso just not what he's been doing. All right, Ryan. Proves what point? He'll probably still have 40 and 100. And again, Ryan, I know you're not a Mets fan. You're clearly not. Because, I mean, look, we were killing in the chat and myself prior to the game, killing Pete Alonso that Mets fans don't like to do. Right? But he's not on all cylinders right now. He's not doing well right now. He's in a slump. That's understandable. But he's still in the top of the league in RBIs, and that's with him struggling, by the way. So where the hell is the rest of the league, right? But why are you tired of Alonso? There's a lot of guys to be tired of in this lineup other than Alonso. Again, he's struggling right now. But you know what? Matt Olson, who you're going to say is better than Pete Alonso, is like a 220 hitter. But he hits 40 and 100. Right? Basically, exact numbers as Pete Alonso, but Pete Alonso had 30 points higher on his average last year. And consistently, by the way. And he's struggling right now. Again, when Pete's on, he's probably one of the best power hitters in baseball. Pete Alonso is not a 290 hitter. He was never a 280 hitter. Last year was the year that really opened up my eyes because he batted near 270 and hit the 40 and 100. It's you can criticize Pete Alonso right now, but to say that he's not a 35, he's not going to be a $40 million player, especially if the Mets are going to sign him prior to a new contract.
In the Nats lineup in this series.
All right, let's see if Peterson can get another inning, a good inning out of him.
Over 4 RBIs in the 3 games. He takes a slider down from Peterson, a ball and strike.
Ken, I think there's a stream he can go to. Sorry.
Yesterday, had 3 separate go-ahead hits, 2 in the first game, 1 in the second. Flies that one out to left, bam.
All right, 1 out. There you go.
Puts it away, 1 out.
When you look at Abrams, and you don't think he's kind of a slender guy, doesn't have power. He surprised me with his power there, that home run.
Obviously.
Well, he's got 3 home runs this year, 2 of them have come against the Mets.
He is a kind of a wiry strength, wiry physique.
Here's Lane Thomas. Thomas attacked Peterson's first pitch of the day today and drove it up the gap.
The Dodgers. What about the Dodgers? The same Dodgers team that chokes every year, minus a pandemic season. That's a fake season. Come on, can we stop talking about the Dodgers? Every year they're considered the best team and the team to win division. That's going to foul ball. Oof, that was close. Could we not talk about the Dodgers? I mean, come on, seriously. I mean, they're basically like, at least the Braves won a real division. I mean, won a real World Series, unlike the Dodgers. Like, let's stop with the Dodgers here. They win a division every year. They're always top 2 to win a World Series, and they fail every year.
Really, as bad a start as I can remember.
I mean, come on.
Had an okay year last year, 241, 17 home runs. A better start this year. Bounces that foul, 22.
You can run out there against left-handers, although they play them every day here. Well, that's a
old-time Devil Ray shirt. The Rays will be in New York starting tomorrow. I shouldn't say that. The Rays have been in New York. They played over the weekend against the Yankees. They've got an off day
look,
in New York
I'm not
today.
gonna kill Freddie Freeman,
Scary
but
thought for a manager.
I mean,
guys are in New York for a week.
again, I love the batting average, but nobody hits for average anymore. They hit for power.
This year, look at their payroll. They just are amazing what they do.
Well, we decided on the graphic to show a Rosarena.
And that's a base hit up the middle on a 3-2 fastball.
Second hit. So each pitcher has had one go past his ear. Thomas is 2 for 2. We highlighted Rosarena, but I counted today 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Tampa Bay hitters who have an OPS over 900. You know how good that is? And Luke Raley, Taylor Walls, Harold Ramirez, Yandy Diaz, Wander Franco. Wander Franco's just under. Rosarena.
All right, see if we can get a double play here. We got a Speedy Garcia up here.
Snap throwing. Getting back is Thomas. They lead the league in runs. They lead the league in home runs. They lead the league in ERA. That's how you get to be 31 on the left.
They're in the midst of a tough road trip right now.
Biffer, awesome, buddy.
A very successful one thus far.
Well, they won yesterday. They beat the Yankees.
Love the logo too with the Power Rangers. That's awesome, buddy. I appreciate it.
So, and they had some very high-scoring games. Their pitching
Got a little WFAN, first time, long time. I love it. I didn't need camera to appreciate that. I appreciate you tuning in, buddy. Come on, David, let's go.
Scrambling for starting pitching right now. But, you know, they have their ways to work around that, too. The Rays are the team that, you know, have kind of invented the opener, and they're going to go with an opener tomorrow against the Mets. They're going to start the left-hander Jalen Beeks as a reliever, and they go with the righty Yanni Chirinos as a righty, but as the bulk guy. So that's, you know, that's one of their tools that they use to work around their deficiencies right now with starters.
Peterson mixing up that curveball a little bit. Like to see that.
I'm hoping that people know who I am at this point, not just a random voice jumping in. But you said that you counted the guys with over 900 OPSs. For me, the crazy.
You know, I mean, they're on a crazy pace this year, but they just do it. They just, I mean, their bullpen is not that good though. Like you've seen it in the Yankee series. Oh, that's an unfortunate. Damn it. Damn. Well, that was a good piece of hitting. The Mets are playing a little bit of a shift on the left side. I mean, that would have been a line drive probably right at the third baseman, but good piece of hitting. First and second, one out. It's a good pitch, too.
And just flicks it down the line. That is good hitting. The way they defend, the way they expose the left of the opposite field so much. But that's a big base hit here. Fan close on this ball.
Well, that's a situation where you're in a pitcher, you got to tip your cap. That was a good pitch, and you just got enough bat on it to hit it the other way. Well, the shift is illegal past second base on either side from the shortstop or the third baseman, but you can shift within the left side or the right side of the base pad. Like on the left side, in this point, the Escobar and Lindor is shifted a little bit more closer to second base. So a dangerous Joey Meneses, who is a guy that puts the bat on the ball here. So you got to be a dangerous hitter here. Oh, God, not Mike Pelfrey. That guy would have licked his hands about 50 times already. And with all the sticky stuff situation going on, they would have thrown his ass out of the game. Imagine the umpire is touching his hands by licking it all the time. Oh, man. Mike Pelfrey.
What they're doing, and again, as you mentioned, Gary, with guys that most people have never really heard of. That's his pulse.
Fuck. Fair ball.
It's going to go into the corner. Thomas is in. Garcia in the third. Joey Meneses with his
Another double. That freaking guy, man.
And it's 2-1 for Washington.
2-1 Nats.
Second bullet off the bat of Meneses there. Both balls pulled down the line.
Just stays in the line.
That's an easy score. But when we get a double, obviously, when you're on second base, we don't score if something's wrong. The backside's the big question. But this is not in the gap. It's down the line, shorter relay in.
All right, 2-1 Nats, second and third, one out.
It's just stunning. And strike to Caber Ruiz. That's up their infield back. They'll see another run to get it out here, hoping that their offense could make it on the other side.
All right, Ryan.
It's all right.
There's a good Mets channel that idiots like you go on. You can go on that one. Stop it, please. I'm sick of you. You're a Mets fan that talks about the Dodgers more than the Mets. That's a sad Mets fan right there. Please. Popped it up. Might be deep enough. And he is safe at home. 3-1 Nats with 2 outs.
Sacrifice fly for Caber Ruiz.
Brandon made a strong throw in here. Really got momentum forward. And didn't overthrow the cutoff man. Really a one-hopper right to the catcher.
Blown up so that Meneses couldn't advance to third. Now they're 2 away, and here's Alex Call. Call struck out his first time up an 8-pitch at bat. Anyway, the bottom line of what we're talking about the Rays is they are really good.
Well, the thing that's amazing is that what you saw the other third lowest salary, and they just year in, year out are a successful franchise.
Call takes that fastball in the strike zone, 1-1. They're going to get a piece back in their bullpen. I mentioned Carl Travis, their starters, but Pete Fairbanks, who was their closer before he got hurt early in the season, just activated today. It's a big piece for them. It's a cold foul down the left field side, 1-2. That's a lot. Verlander going tomorrow night. Kodai Senga Wednesday night, and then Tyler McGill on Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, KTU. Again, you know, that certain somebody got his minions out. What can I do? And he strikes him out, but not before the Nationals scored 2 runs to take a 3-1 lead after 3. And KTU, that's fine. Again, if you really need to go use your minions to get on the channel for whatever reason, whatever. But wasn't I'm trying to figure that one out. Wasn't that channel the same person saying that I use the 7 line as like a marketing tool to get subscribers, which is hilarious to me. Yet who's using the 7 line now? Yeah, so I have nothing to say. Again, you're gonna use your minions to come on my channel and talk nonsense. Like, I mean, that guy was clearly not a Met fan. Like, why are you a Met fan? And you're consistently talking about the Dodgers, who choke every year in a real year, who constantly spend more money than almost everybody, and won in a 60-game season. Yet we're gonna give them all the credit in the world. I mean, let's be honest. Like, before 2021, the Braves were the same way. Brave fans even said that. Right? But at least the Braves won a real championship. You know what I'm saying? Like don't come on me with the 2020 World Series championship and talk shit. There's no need for that. You know, until the Dodgers actually beat the Mets in the playoffs, which they seem to never do anymore. You know, when was the last time they beat the Mets? 88? A long time ago, guys. And oh, by the way, your last real world championship? Yeah. All right. So, again, I don't kill the fans for wearing the shirts, championship shirts. Met fans would have done that too. But be honest with yourself. Be honest when you try to troll the channel and bring up a 2020 World Series championship. Come on. Stop it, guys. Like, let's go. Like I said, the Dodgers are a really good team, but they underperformed in the playoffs for years. Like, let's not act like that's not true. It is. You know, I can be realistic about the Mets. Like, I kill my team every day of the week. And Tommy Pham fouls it off. So 4-5-6 up for the Mets. 3-1
Pham, Canna, and Marte.
Nationals.
4, 5, and 6 in the order against Corbin. Worked the 1, 2, 3 third with the help of some fine play in the outfield by Stone Garrett to Rob Lindor.
Like, the problem with a lot of fans is that they don't criticize their own team, but they have no problem criticizing other teams. But if you don't criticize your own, what gives you the right to criticize another team that you don't even root for? That makes no sense to me. Like, I'd be a hypocrite if I kill other teams and never my own. That's just stupid.
Corbin, 6 solid innings against the Giants his last time out. Gave him his 2 earned runs.
Yeah, Alan.
Gets a piece of the high fastball to stay in the
Daryl, Dariel, I think I said your name. I apologize, but Dariel, I think it is, right? I hope you didn't do that. Even though I think the Mets can come back in this ball game.
But he's now hitless in his last 14 at bats. He takes that fastball out of the strike zone, 3-2.
Tony, they're giving Peterson every opportunity to be that lefty until Quintana comes back. Besides Luke Casey, but I think they want Peterson to succeed. It's the only thing I can think of, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't have no good answer for you. I'm trying to think what the Mets are thinking.
The last 5 full seasons. He started 30 or more games each of the last 5 full seasons. Only Garrett Cole has done that other than Corbin.
Pham hits one right to shortstop, and 1 out.
Let's check in with Steve.
Gary, let's do quickly a live same-game parlay. It's presented by PointsBet as always. If you think the Mets are going to win today and they're going to be more than 10.5 runs scored right now, that's going off at plus 240 as Mark Canna steps up to the plate. Canna, in game number 2 yesterday, had a really productive game. 3 hits, all really hard hits, 2 doubles. And after the game, Canna was talking about how much better he's felt lately about the way he's seeing the ball, about the type of at-bats that he's putting up. And I asked him, what the difference is. He goes, in the beginning of the year, when I couldn't see the ball well, I was trying to let it travel deeper, but I just couldn't do it. He said, when you're slumping, sometimes even if you know what you're trying to do, it's much more difficult to get it done. So
Alan, Pham has been a lot better than Ruff. I know that's not a lot, saying that a lot, and it's not much, but he's been better than Ruff.
But why would that be something that is harder to do when you're not feeling great at the plate?
But Pham's in this lineup today because he's 6 for 12 against Corbin.
I would like to know what he meant by I wasn't seeing the ball well. Does that mean he wasn't seeing it out of the hand? I'm interpreting that when you're not picking up the ball out of hand,
Oh, Mark.
it throws you out of sync, out of rhythm. So what do you naturally try to do unless you're Ralph Conner?
Todd, I don't know what they're doing anymore. A few days ago, prior to the Red Series, in the coming days, Mauricio was supposed to be up. That was the talk of the town from reporters. So I don't know what they're doing anymore. I really don't.
And then you just hope to finally get into the middle.
They should be up. At least one of them. Honestly, I'd rather have Vientos up because he's been hitting righties and lefties consistently. And I don't know why, those make him the DH every day. People keep on talking about Mauricio, but he still has a high strikeout rate and already made 6 errors at second base. So that's an issue that everybody's worrying about. That's a ball. Oh, just foul. We got Hamill, KTU. We got Vizal. We got Tidwell. Hamill's probably the closest to coming, but I don't know if they're exactly ready yet. Hamill had a decent year so far, but, are they major league ready? You're not going to throw these kids out there and give them no chance. That's not fair to them. So, and that's why you're seeing Peterson more and Luke Casey more, because we don't have guys ready yet, unfortunately.
That's a tough job when you're a platoon player.
And Canna hits a base hit. Canna's looking better with the bat over the last 3 days. I agree, Todd.
That's promising signs right there. So I don't know what's going through Canna's head, but hopefully he's saying, there it is. Where have you been?
That's Canna in a nutshell right there. A guy that puts the bat on the ball And it's funny, I read a stat the other day, which is shocking. Last year, Canna had one of the most hard hit ball rates on the Mets. And you wouldn't think that with Alonso, with Lindor, with McNeil for that matter. Canna had the most hard hit balls in play on the Mets last year, which is crazy to me. All right, Marte's up, looking better at the plate over the last 2 days. See if Marte can do some damage here with 2 outs, or 1 out, excuse me. I agree, Game War. That's the biggest problem. I said that I don't understand it. We have more catches and shortstops in all the minor leagues, basically, it seems like. And that's a ground ball. It probably won't be a double play. Got the out at second, 2 outs.
Sorry, CJ. There were only 2 out.
Oh my gosh, Taylor made a double play. Come on. Was he too far away from second base to get
But Nick,
there?
I'm not talking about that. I'm not comparing the Mets to the Dodgers. This is where you're not understanding.
They had a chance to get
The point of the matter is that the fact that the Dodgers, prior to the Mets, Steve Cohen was the number 1 payroll for how many years in a row and continued to fall apart in the playoffs. Oh, by the way, and losing to the Mets as well, in particular, and losing every time, except for a pandemic season. I'm not telling you non-facts here. The Dodgers have been chokers in the playoffs. They've had great seasons, but bad playoffs. If you don't want to understand a fact, then I don't know what to tell you. This is not a Mets-Dodgers comparison. I did not compare that. You're hearing things that you want to make up on your own to make your comment. I didn't say that. To bring up the Dodgers and the Mets comparison, winning during the season is no contest. That's not nothing to argue about. But don't act like the Dodgers have been amazing in the playoffs, because they have not. They've been big chokers for a team who's been having the highest payroll in baseball for many, many years prior to the Mets and not winning World Series. And then you win a pandemic World Series acting like it's a huge success when you were in a bubble and it was a 60-game season. Well, yeah, Darry. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said it's not true. The problem is the Dodgers are not trying to win division titles only. If you look at what the goal is a World Series, they failed. Look how many years in a row they won the division and how many years they had one of the best records in baseball and didn't win a World Series. And McNeil hits a shot to center, and they're going to catch that one too. Jesus Christ. McNeil, a couple of one-in-track power, and the center fielder has been catching. Cole has been catching those balls. So Mets don't score in the 4th. 3-1 Nationals. Yeah, exactly, Alan. Again, I don't understand why. I did not say, well, I was never comparing the Dodgers and the Mets. What Ryan was bringing up was that, we all know the Dodgers are a better team. Okay, but nobody's saying that. Like, nobody's not saying that. But the Dodgers, who dominated the Padres in the regular season, got embarrassed in the postseason against the Padres. So what are we talking about here? Prior to the pandemic year, which, again, if you take a lot of merit in a pandemic year, it's embarrassing. Because if you know anything about baseball, especially in the last 10 years, teams that have struggled in the early part of the year, which, get this, the first 60 games of the year, the Braves, the Phillies, and the Nationals would have never made the playoffs if 60 games was the pandemic year. That is the thing right there. And again, I'm not saying the fans shouldn't wear the championship shirts, wave the banners. They should. You're fans. But don't act like it was a long season where you grinded through 162 games and grinded out a playoff run where you traveled twice in the playoffs and you played 60 games. I understand it, but Nick, here's my point. You're saying the Dodgers are better than the Mets. I agree with you. So that should be more embarrassing for the Dodgers. No? Again, Nick, see, I don't think you pay attention to the channel. I wasn't in favor of what Buck Showalter did. Again, that was Buck Showalter being desperate at that point. But that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Right? The Padres dominated the Mets in the regular. It was basically even during the regular season. I think the Padres won one more game than the Mets season series. Ground ball should be an out. And got him. Ooh, that's close.
But Escobar skipped it over there, and Hanna was able to snag it.
Let's see. It might be close. Again, when they call the outs on the field or the safe call, all right, they're not. I think he got him out. Oh, just got him. One out. So we got one out there. That's a nice play by Escobar, deep at third base. Again, guys, there's no argument about the Dodgers being better than the Mets. What I'm talking about is the fact that Dodger fans or fake Met fans, whatever you want to call them, that's a base hit by Dominic Smith, in the hole might just be a single, and it is. You know, there's not a comparison, but let's not act like the Dodgers weren't number one in payroll for how many years in a row and did not get a championship. I just don't understand that. Like, and then we're going to talk about 2020. Like, it's a magical year. I don't even take the stats. Dominic Smith had one of the best offensive years in baseball in 2020. Where is he now? So should we count that? Met fans were delusional about Dominic Smith because of his 2020 numbers. Like, come on.
No panic in that block. That ball was a spiked ball.
You know, it should be embarrassing for the Mets and the Dodgers, who had over 100 wins. And the Dodgers coasting to a division title. And the Dodgers played, what, one more game more than the Mets in the playoffs? They both should have been embarrassed for the way they played in the postseason.
That's off to the side that might be a little bit more problematic.
Absolutely. The lateral movement.
2-0 to Garrett. And now 3-0 is
Joe, that's a guy that's going to ruin his career. That guy can't put guns away.
Doesn't want to throw a strike.
Okay, Nick, but again, he's not the player that everybody thought he was going to be.
CJ Abrams, the on-deck batter.
Nick, you're not a Mets fan. I get it. You know you are, and I'm going to tell you this, and you can leave after this if you want, right? You're a Dodger fan that doesn't like anybody telling you about your team because you are a postseason choke artist. You didn't win since '88. Your real championship hasn't been since '88, just like the Mets in '86. It was basically a 30, 35-year window there, closer to 20. I'm sorry, but there's no comparison for the Mets and the Dodgers. Nobody's doing that. You're the idiot that continues to bring up nonsense because you can't come up with a smart argument for a comment. So, Nick, appreciate it. There's lovely Dodger channels that you can check out. Go away, please. I don't need you on my channel talking stupid shit. Go away, please. My Lord. God, Dodger fans. If you got a great team, why are you so butthurt by what I say? I don't get it. Like, if the Dodgers are so great, this shouldn't affect you coming from a Mets fan. But because deep down you really know that they're choke artists, is why you have to troll a channel. So you don't even believe it. I don't get it. Nobody's killing the Dodgers, but facts are facts. Stop. Come on, David. And that's a walk by Peterson.
Texas Rangers. 13-game hitting streak. Dodgers just swept the Padres. They were 4-0 last night. They've got a 3-game lead.
So once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. Let's get more people in here.
Now struck out 60 times this year. Lost 4 straight. Good Lord.
I don't get it. Like, I don't care if they come in and kill the Mets, but let's not bring up non-facts here. Nobody's comparing the Mets to the Dodgers regular seasons. That's just stupid. But nobody is comparing anybody. But facts are facts. They've choked in the playoffs.
Place it right there and driving a run.
Like, come on, guys. It's crazy to me. Alan, wouldn't that be a interesting thing, right? Joey, I agree. I mean, it doesn't help that your catcher decides to take 20 feet lead at first base and get thrown out, get picked off.
Runs too well.
That closes down that hole a little bit. Yeah. 0-2 coming from Peterson. Gets off the fence. McNeil goes for the tag and the toss. No toss.
All right, so it was a fast runner. McNeil tags the runner at second. So it's first and third with 2 outs. Unfortunately, it's hard to double up Abrams there.
Does a good job here. He has every right. He shouldn't have stopped. He could knock McNeil into the next counter. So he can't get the double play.
I know, Game. I know.
You just can't use your hands. You got to keep your hands into your body.
Nobody's done that in 30 years.
I used to do it. I was pretty adept at that.
It was a big part of the game for a long time, but then Albert Bill leveled Fernando Vina and then changed everything.
Yeah. Cleaned his clock.
The backstory was that either earlier in that game or the day before, there had been a
Alan,
play and Bell had
we'll see.
and he was exhorted by
I'm not
the
confident, that's for
manager
sure.
to take out the second baseman, and he really
You know, unfortunately, he got a ground ball there. It's just he had a fast runner and the ball was hit slow.
That'll teach him next time.
That was what you wanted, but with a fast runner there and the ball hit slow,
runners have not been inflicting that kind of punishment. Lane Thomas is 2 for 2, single and a double. And he takes that fastball inside, 2-1.
excuse me, guys.
Doubled up. Then he singled the center of the third and scored another.
Come on, David. A lot of pitches for Peterson through two outs in the fourth. 71.
Third, Abrams at first. Abrams with good speed.
Strike. Nice pitch.
That gets in there for a strike. Change up to a 2.
Batter was looking like he was looking for a fastball there. Got a slider. All right. Important pitch here. 2-2. First and third, 2 outs. 3-1 Nationals. Big out here to get.
Now he goes. Throw to second by Alvarez.
Oh, no.
Smith comes in to score, and it's 4-1 Washington.
I don't know why you're trying to throw a guy out at second there when there's a guy on third. Abrams was going to steal that base easily. Ball got away from McNeil. Bad throw. So 2 bad plays by Alvarez in a couple of innings here. A base running and now a throwing. He was not going to get him. Yeah, he would have been safe. 4-1 Nats.
Base for Abrams, then the error on Alvarez allows the run to score.
And he walks
And now
Thomas.
Thomas, and he's aboard. Second walk of the
You know, it's a situation where you can't kill your pitcher there either. You know, why throw through there at that point? But true, Todd, but Peterson does, quote-unquote, have better stuff than Lucchesi. But Lucchesi hasn't been that good since his first start either. So it's not like, you know.
Because if he keeps it in front of him, Dom's not breaking for the plate, even if it rolls a few feet away, he doesn't have that kind of speed. But it got far enough away that he could walk on in. Now Luis Garcia takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, quality start down the drain, that's for sure.
Here it is right here. It's an in-between hop. Tough chance.
He was expected to come up a little more than he
Yeah,
did.
kind of suited. So 2 throwing errors from both sides of the catchers in this game.
Garcia tomahawks one foul.
You know, in a situation like that, I'm surprised Alvarez didn't fake the throw to see if Dom got off third a little bit more. Like, that's a situation there with C.J. Abrams, who got a pretty good jump. Would have probably stolen the base anyway. I don't think he should have worried about the batter more and not even try to throw over. Yeah. Oh, where was that pitch? Just low. Nice pitch, though.
Was trying to hold an extra beat for Chad Fairchild, who wasn't biting. But at this point, most just hoping that Peterson can keep the Mets somewhere close in this game and not put too much strain on the bullpen after 2 games yesterday.
Ground ball right through the hole. Another run's going to score. 5-1 Nats. Well, that's another situation where Lindor is playing more up the middle and not playing the shortstop position. That's a ground ball to the shortstop. Like, he was playing right next to second base. That's a ground ball right to the shortstop. These damn stupid shifts. I mean, granted, I'm not giving Peterson any breaks here, but that's a ground ball to the shortstop.
Got 3 hits last night, Garcia. And that's an easy score.
Oh, that's funny. Tommy Hunter warming up. I agree. I said at the very least the Mets needed to get 3 out of 4 here. You're not changing anybody's mind here if you split a series here. But again, when your pitchers don't give you no damn chances and you make stupid base running errors, you're going to end up losing games like that. And then you got Meneses, who killed us so far today.
The Mets struggling to keep their frontline starters on the mound. The numbers from their starters have not been pretty. And Peterson's been part of that. There goes the runner, and it's fouled away.
They're putting pressure on Alvarez here. They're trying to steal second, see if he makes another bad throw. A guy on third, too.
Is now hitting .512 this year with runners in scoring position. 21 for 41. Somehow that's netted him only 20 runs batted in.
Chuta, that's a good point.
How often they've been on in front of him yet.
Exactly.
Well, I agree. You want to take him out, but at the same time, you know, you don't have a day off until next Monday. You use your bullpen now. You're destroying your bullpen in the 4th inning and using a lot of bullpen, and you don't have no days off until Monday. So that's a problem there in its own.
Again, the 0-2 on a pickoff try. Gana going after Garcia. Now to look at the runner. Now the take.
All right, so they get the guy trying to steal second, and the run does not score, and the Nats put up a couple of more runs, making it 5-1 Nats after 4. Well, Lindor, he's not wrong. I mean, as bad as the Mets have played, they gained ground since the last time they faced the Braves. It's not wrong. Like, when the Mets faced the Braves, after that series, they were what, 7 games out? Since then, they gained a game and a half. They're 5.5 games, and that's because the Braves lost 4 in a row. Again, it's not a terrible statement. I get what you mean. But I mean, as bad as the Mets have played, they're a half game out of a wild card and 5.5 back of the division, which is insane. They shouldn't be that close, but they are, because the rest of the National League has been bad. The Phillies have been coming on a little bit, but it took a bad 20-game stretch from the Mets for the Phillies to get past the Mets, right? And even with the Mets' bad 20-game stretch, they gained ground on the wild card too, which makes no sense. But look at the standings. It makes no sense. We gained a game and a half since we faced the Braves by losing series. It's amazing to me. But the Braves haven't looked good over the last 5-6 days either. Well, Jeremy, I don't know. That's the problem. But Lindor, it's not about taking the Braves out of your mouth, and don't tell me what to do. All right, you asked me a question, and you had a comment there, but it's not a wrong comment. That's the whole point. Like, we gained ground since we faced the Braves. That's not a lie. It's a fact. I just don't understand what you're talking about. I can put any word in my mouth if I want to, just like you can. But it has nothing to do about the Braves. The fact of the matter is, the Mets gained ground after facing them. It shouldn't have happened. But Alexander, the Padres are looking bad. The Mets are playing so bad that they're a half a game out of a wildcard spot. Oh, I'm sorry, Lindo. That's my apologies. But again, it's not a wrong comment, though. You know what I mean, buddy? That's what I'm talking about. Like, the Mets gained ground over this bad stretch. I don't even know how they did it, but they did it. Hayden, we have a lot to talk about Peterson. I brought it up in the beginning. Yeah, that's my bad, Lindo. That's on me. I'm the asshole on that part. Round ball right to the shortstop. 1 out.
Let's go back to that. Boiling of the delayed double steal.
Okay, now keep your eye on Peterson. He's supposed to come and back up. Pete runs nicely. Lindor closes nicely. I don't like Pete vacating and getting the pitcher involved. Now, that's the way I was talking the Cardinal chain when I was in the minor leagues.
All right, so there's 1 out. Alvarez, who made a bad throw and a base running error, hurting the Mets twice in 4 innings. See if he can do something with the bat here.
So I learned too, as I got
Game smart. What's up, buddy?
in minor leagues, they tell you. I held, and if you do the proper rundown, George Kissel always said, if there's 3 throws in a rundown, it's a bad rundown. It should be maximum 2 throws, and if you do it really good, it's 1 throw. And it's all about you close.
Yeah, Joe, that's okay.
You got a mousetrap.
Oh, that's a generous strike.
Factor that you're trying to get that accomplished before that runner correct across the plate. So, at what point do you keep your eye on him and break off the play and throw home?
I used to, when a runner went out there, and usually the
Hayden?
pitcher would throw it
Yeah.
to me, and I'd run the runner out. And I've always wanted the shortstop to come in like Lindor did, close it down. And
Round ball should end the inning. Oh, I'm sorry. So it could be the second out, and it is.
so we're going to show it again and keep your eye on Lindor. Watch him. Watch it.
Well, game, that's hard to believe because he won the batting title last year with Lindor in the lineup. The reason why McNeil's not playing bad or playing as well, I think because of the fact the Mets are trying him at the top of the order too much, and he's a guy that should be batting 6th in the order. That's his best spot.
And really tighten it up on that runner.
Yeah, exactly, Kimmy. And Nimmo, ground ball right to the first baseman, and it ends the inning. So a quick 5th inning for Corbin. You know, it's nice to see a pitcher actually getting out of a quick inning here. And Peterson, I don't know, he looks like he's coming back out for the 5th. Again, the Mets don't have an off day until next Monday. You got to save your bullpen. Unfortunately, you lose by 4 runs. I understand. I mean, I'd take him out, but, well, Mullen, it's not a series loss. It would be a split. So technically, they didn't lose the series, but it feels like it. Yeah, 6th pitch in. I know he does. I mean, you know, Gary brought it up yesterday that Corbin has been pitching better since his terrible start this year, but I mean, he's not a good pitcher anymore. And you know, the Mets are making terrible pitchers look great. Like that's a fact. I'll be lying to you if I said that's not true, because it is, right? But you know, what Lindor said, what Gary said, again, it's not a wrong statement, but I understand what you're talking about, right? When the Mets finished the series against the Braves, they ended up being 7 games out. They're 5.5 starting today. It makes no sense, but they gained ground. Just like the wild card. They were two games out of the wild card after the Braves series. Now they're a half a game out of the last wild card spot. And I think a game and a half from the first wild card spot. It's crazy to me. It doesn't make sense, but that just shows that a team like the Padres, who everybody said won the offseason with the free agent signings, are looking just as bad as the Mets, who everybody thought that the Dodgers were going to have a down year since they didn't spend basically any money in free agency, and they're kicking ass right now for the regular season, and winning that division look like easily right now. Yeah, but Alan, at the same time, it's hard for a lineup to come back when you give 5 runs in 4 innings. Like, it's hard for lineups to do that. Like, I don't care what your lineup is. They could score 1 run or 2 runs. I understand that, but it's kind of demoralizing to a lineup when you look up in the 5th inning and you're down by 4 or 5 runs every game. You're right, Alan. I think all of us can be. You can give us $100,000 a piece, and we can do the same thing. I agree.
This year, right where he left off.
Absolutely.
We've seen phenoms come up and have a good run of it.
Yeah, the sky is falling, but you also have to look at the rest. See, people only look at the Mets and act like they're 20 games out of first place and 20 games out of a wild card spot when I just brought it up. And that's a strikeout, 1 out. And that's 1 out, strikeout for Manassas. Again, that's why I'm bringing it up. Again, it's pointless to look at the standings now, but when you only talk about the Mets problems and the way they're playing, the Mets are still in every situation you want to talk about. Division, all right, it's 5.5 games. It's not a lot. It's not, 10 games or 12 games. But some way, somehow, the Mets are in striking distance on both. Well, Crossface, I don't know. But you know what? It's benefiting the Mets right now that the NL is so bad right now. Let's be honest. It's benefiting all the teams. It's benefiting the Padres. It's benefiting the Cardinals, who are terrible right now. It's benefiting teams that are 500.
Still counts if we get hit on a bounce. Sure does.
Like, I hate bringing up standings 42 games into the season. But when you kill your team and say, oh, their season's over, they're this and that, it's nonsense. Because you have to look at the rest of the league to bring up a comment like that and have any factual evidence. Ryan, it's called Mets baseball.
At this point, more than anything else,
hey, listen, the Braves are benefiting right now, losing 4 in a row, knowing that nobody can actually win games in the NL East. Like, seriously. Yeah, I don't think it's a slump because of October. I think they're just they started the season off the first 21 games of the year, 14-7. So this is a bad 20-game stretch. That it's bad, terrible 20-game stretch. Let me fix myself before a troll comes in and says I'm lying. As bad as the Phillies have been and the Mets have been absolutely terrible, the Braves actually lost ground in the division. How is that possible? Because after we faced the Braves, we were 7 games out. And now we're 5.5. Makes no sense. I don't get it. But that's what's happening. Well, it still is telling that the Braves have problems with good teams, but they destroy the bad teams. And that's why their win total and their win column is always 92 plus. They destroy bad teams. They don't give bad teams a chance. And that's why their record's better than it should be, because they don't beat good teams. That's another fact. Alexander, at the moment, no. But weren't Philly fans saying the same thing last year? Probably all the way up until August. Right? They didn't look like a World Series team. Worst defense in the league, the worst bullpen in the league. They made the World Series. So you can't just go by that. We're so focused. That should be ended. Escobar couldn't get out of his hand. Tough play there. Well, Lendog, there's the difference in the division right now, because the Mets aren't beating good teams. If the Mets were 500 during this 20-game stretch, they'd be in first place by 1.5 games right now. Like, that's why it's more frustrating. Again, division standings don't really matter at the moment, but if you want to really take it into perspective, if the Mets were 500 on this 20-game stretch, they'd be in first place by a game and a half. That's the difference, the margin of a 20-game stretch. And that's a base hit that might be another run. And it is 6-1 Nationals. And get out of the inning, but unfortunately, David Peterson, once again with 2 outs, gives up another freaking run. And it's 6-1 Nationals. Again, we can kill the lineup all you want, but when you give up 6 runs in 5 innings, not easy to come back from. Alexander, no, they didn't. They had to fire Joe Girardi. And okay, so if Rob Thompson is so good, why are the Phillies bad this year? They're looking a little bit better, but they had Harper for about a week and a half now, and they're still around, a game over 500? Like, let's not make like the manager is the difference because the Phillies went into the World Series. Let's be honest. The pitching finally pitched better, and their defense got a little bit better. And guess what? Destroyed them in the playoffs, in the World Series, right? The lineup for the Phillies were a one-dimensional team. If they don't hit home runs, they lose. Exactly what haunted them in the regular season came back to haunt them in the World Series. Bad defense, no home runs. And that's why they lost. They had a chance to win that World Series, but the bats went quiet, the power was gone, and their bullpen came back to earth. That's it. That's all it was. They got hot at the right time. That's basically it. The same way the Braves got hot in 2021. Same way the Phillies last year got hot at the right time. 2019 Nationals. They had an under 500 record at the All-Star break. They won the World Series. Like, no, they didn't, Alexander. No, they didn't. You can't have 87 wins against a team with 101 wins. Were the Phillies better than the Braves? If you say no, then your argument doesn't make any sense then. You can't say they had a better manager and a better team when the Mets won 14 more games than the Mets and the Braves won 14 more games than the Phillies. But yet the Phillies went further than the Mets and the Braves.
Yeah, but there was no damage to that. That was one of the guys in the truck set that up. I forget.
What was great about it, Keith, is the way you
Crossface, you could say the same thing about the Phillies, right? They spent a ton of money last year and have 87 wins. You think that's the season that they were expecting? Yeah. And that's a base hit down the line for Lindor. Should be a leadoff double for Francisco Lindor. Joe, I do agree with that. And I remember saying that the Padres matched up well against the Mets. And again, I thought the Mets were going to overcome the matchup woes, but it didn't. But again, let's not act like Manny Machado or, the top of the order did the damage. It was Trent Grisham that killed the Mets. The bottom of the order of the Padres killed the Mets. Let's be honest. All right, let's see if the Mets can try to come back in this unfortunate ball game. Well, committee, you know why? Because he bats right-handed. He's a terrible left-handed hitter. He's a much better right-handed hitter, by far. All right, Pete, yelling to hit over home run here. This is the situation here where you want to get a little closer with just one swing of the bat. Make it a 6-3 ball game.
That's amazing, right?
Look at Lindor, 20 extra base hits and 16 singles. That's crazy. What a weird season for Lindor. And 31 RBIs. Come on, Pete. Goddamn do. And takes a strike on the outside corner, generous strike, but yeah, game, they're not going to do that.
To a 3.56 ERA, which is good. But he hasn't had a win in that span. Now he's got himself a nice lead.
And Alonso gets a base hit. Probably won't score Lindor. It is first and third with nobody out. So the Mets got some runners on the base once again and nobody out. And let's see if the Mets can freaking do something here. But don't worry, guys.
Brought to you by your local
Listen up. Tommy Pham, our cleanup hitter, is coming up.
Strikers, you mentioned earlier, Justin Verlander going to make his Citi Field debut.
Yeah, Machado hit one home run.
First win as a Met last Wednesday.
Again, it wasn't Machado winning the series for the Padres. It was extremely good pitching by the Padres and Trent Grisham. That was basically the offense of the Padres. All right, well, first and third, nobody out. Be nice if you get an actual base hit here and keep the merry-go-round moving, right?
A little movement down there. National bullpen.
Come on, Tommy.
Not want this lead to get away. More at third, Alonso at first with nobody out.
And Tommy gets, let's see if Lindor can score. And he does. So sac fly by Tommy Pham. Again, productive out. 6-2. It's amazing what happens when you put the bat on the ball, right? Productive outs. Not a lot of those the Mets have this year. So it's 6-2. The Mets get 1 run closer. Still down by 4, though. Game? I don't know. Because, let's be honest, guys. Everybody wanted Beatty up, right? He every other day he was hitting a home run. He has, what, 2 home runs? 1 home run? And batted nowhere near he did in the minors. So who knows? He could be batting 400 in all the home runs he wants in the minors. Doesn't mean he's going to do that in the majors. Like, since Alvarez and Beatty has been in this lineup, the Mets have a losing record. Again, really no fault of their own, but it puts it into perspective that one guy is not going to make a difference. Come on, Mark. This umpire, for both pitches, is calling strikes all over the place. All right, Mark's been hot. Let's see if he can keep it going here. Get on base here.
Originally drafted by the Angels back in 2009 out of junior college. Traded to Arizona where he made his career before signing with the Nats as a free agent. He got one really good year out of them, and he's really struggled since. This is a long way, 1-2.
The Nats yesterday's.
No, I understand that, but again, it's still Beatty was raking in the minor leagues, and every highlight was a home run. It felt like, and he hasn't provided that power that we were expecting, that we saw in the minors. Same thing with Vientos. That doesn't mean it's going to translate to the major leagues. Again, he should be up. I'm not disagreeing with you there, but we got to temper expectations because Vientos might not be exactly what he is in the minors, right? Beatty has been hitting like 120 in the last like 20 at-bats. He's been struggling a lot too. It's not like he's been, killing the ball all over the place. All right, Canna got the pitch, got the account, the full count. Good job by Canna getting back in the count. Again, the Mets have opportunities to come back in this ball game. They gotta get the job done. Stop, no more excuses. Get the job done. All right, Canna's calls timeout.
Since the start of the 2020 season, has given up more home runs than anybody in the National League.
All 7 of his home runs have been to right-handers.
Ground ball should be a double play. And it's only 1 out. That was a nice backhand by Abrams, but 2 outs with 1 man on. That was actually ball 4 right there that kind of swing at.
He is solid at shortstop. He just on the exchange couldn't find the handle. Had to dig in there a little extra.
So the inning continues with Canna at first and 2 out. Here's Marte.
All right, Marte's been looking a little bit better. Let's see if Marte can. It'd be nice to have Marte jack one over the wall here, man. We need something like that. I agree, Tilly. It's a big jump from AAA to the majors. I agree, Chris, but here's the problem. People are seeing what they're doing in the minors and want instant success. It's not happening. It's not. And this team can't afford to wait for them to adjust because the offense is struggling, and you're not bringing these guys up to, take their time. We need the production in the minors up in this lineup, but you're probably not going to get that. That's the problem. No, they're both prospects still. They don't have enough games to not be a prospect. They're rookies basically. Come on, Marte. Oh, that's a nice changeup.
That was a beauty thrown there. That's the best changeup he's thrown.
Canada at first with 2 down, a run in.
He didn't go. Held the swing 2-2. Come on, Stalin.
Swing and miss on the previous pitch. Corbin went right back to the well. So up to 92 pitches. His high this year has been 96.
Ground ball that might. And the ball got away. So Marte gets there on the throwing error and kind of goes to third. So the Mets get a break here on a bad throw by Candelario. And good hustle by Marte down the line. First and third. Can the Mets actually make them pay for a mistake there? He had time. I think he was going to get him with a good throw. But nice hustle down the line by Marte. Yeah, he would have had him.
Just out of reach, Dom. He stayed on the bag. Should he have made the catch?
Should he have come off the bag to get it?
Yeah, tough play.
Game, I agree with that. But the whole, I don't disagree. I think you got to bring him up. I think he should have been up already. But again, what people are going to expect or what they were trying to expect from, and the pitching coach is on the mound talking to Corbin, so I have something to say about that. Again, I agree with you guys. They should be up, both of them, Mauricio and Vientos. But what people are expecting, what they expected from Beatty coming up, is what they saw in the minors. And he's not doing that. And again, people are not going to bitch and moan about Beatty, who is 2 for his last 24. They're not, because they have to get acclimated. They're going to go through a bad stretch, but the Mets can't afford that right now. And what you see in the minor leagues, if it doesn't translate right away to the majors, you're not helping the lineup just now. And that's what I think people are thinking, that they're going to help the lineup right away, and they might not. They could, but they might not. So Jeff McNeil is at the plate with 2 outs. Got a 2-out RBI earlier. Let's see if he can get another 2-out RBI here. First and third, 2 outs, 6-2 Nationals. Mets trying to make a comeback here.
Big out for Corbin and a big bat for the Mets.
No, I mean, if they do, great. But again, we're expecting, we're trying to make these young kids to be our saviors when it's the guys like McNeil, Lindor, Alonso that need to pick up the slack, or it's not going to matter no matter who comes in this lineup. That's the problem.
Interesting how Jeff has taken this year a lot more first pitches. Remember, he was swinging.
Yeah, Richard, that's a fact right now. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Come on, Jeff. That's a ball. All right. JL, but 1 inning. Alexander, I agree. But again, people want these guys up because they think they're going to instantly help the offense, which most likely won't happen because they got to adjust. That's all. All right, 2-1 count to McNeil. First and third, 2 outs.
2-1 to McNeil.
And that's right at the left fielder again. God, a line drive and right at the left fielder. Again, it's been this whole series. No luck, and this is what happens when you're not doing everything right? Unfortunately. So the Mets only get 1 run, and they're still down by 4. So again, a hard hit ball by McNeil. Left fielder gets a running in. Again, he hit the ball hard. What are you going to do? He hit it right at somebody. And that happened a couple of times prior to the 8th run inning by the Mets yesterday. The amount of balls they hit right at people hard, what are you going to do? No, JL, I agree with you. Like I said, the one thing about the Braves, and again, they got the best GM in baseball. Nobody can dispute that. The Braves would live and die bringing up those rookies, right? They've done it how many years in a row? They stuck with Riley when Riley was terrible when they first brought him up for almost 2 years, right? And look with Riley now. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Albies. Acuna is on another level, right? But they did it with all their guys. They did it with Harris last year. It jump-started their season and gave them that jolt that they needed. The Mets are hoping that Beatty was going to give the jolt. Well, Beatty is adjusted now, right? He started off pretty good, went through a little bit of a spill, looked a little bit better, and now is back in a slump again. You're going to see that from rookies. But again, the people that are saying, bring up Vientos, bring up Mauricio, that's fine. I'm all on board. But what are you expecting from them? If you expect them to be the savior of this team, you're going to be disappointed. Well, Super, that's not true because Abrams is the top prospect that they got for who did they get? I think it was Turner when they traded him, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? CJ Abrams, you saw Mackenzie Gore, that was on that same. I'm sorry, the Soto trade, excuse me. So they got your good young players. Meneses, a career minor leaguer, finally gets an opportunity. He's betting 500 with runners in scoring position. That's insane. And he had a good year last year. They got some decent hitters, but you can't be losing to this team. Sorry, you just can't. There's no excuse, but yeah, that's true. All right, so Tommy Hunter is in the ball game. Peterson's start is officially over and probably his last start for a very long time unless there's another injury. So 5 innings.
Ready to go. David Peterson, 94 pitches over 5 innings, gave up
6 runs, all earned. Not a good start. Again,
Garrett leads off in the home 6th.
The lineup, no excuses to get more runs in. But again, when your pitching staff gives up 6 runs before in 5 innings, it's hard to come back in a ball game. Well, he's been good. 2 starts now, he's been good. Scherzer looked like he was healthy and he pitched well. His velocity was up. His slider was sharp. That's nice to see. But you see what happens when you get quality starts, right? When you get quality starts, you don't need 3 or 4 or 5 hits in a row, big hits, to come back in a ball game. You just need 1 big hit. That's the difference this year compared to last year.
Is that what it's called? I don't know. It's called something. When it's a 5, it looks like a ticket fence.
Freaking Mets make me drink, guys.
Garrett drives one out to right field. Marte shading his eyes and stays
1 out.
It's a tough subfield. We saw that yesterday.
Yes, but Alexander, again, was it more Conforto or was it, like you said, Uribe, Johnson, and Cespedes? Right? If you look at Conforto when he came up, wasn't very good. Everybody wanted him to be, again, quote-unquote savior. He really wasn't. It was the Cespedes, Johnson, Uribe, and the bullpen arms that they got at the deadline as well. And Abram hits a shot. That's gone. 7-2. That ball is way gone. Well, I just talked about C.J. Abrams, right?
He's only hit 4 for the season, but he has feasted on Mets pitching. Abrams with a second deck shot to make it 7-2.
He's the only one to hit a home run in this 4-game series. And another similar pitch he hit out the other day. Up, out over the plate, above the belt.
Oh, that's a hanger.
He's strong.
You know, we keep on throwing breaking balls to C.J. Abrams, who can't catch up to a fastball.
So the lead back to 5 runs for the Nationals.
Game, can you use that sword for me too?
Well, that could be Here Come the Judge.
And another hanging breaking ball. That's gone. Oh, that's off the wall.
It hops up against the wall, and Thomas has his 3rd hit of this game and his 2nd double.
Well, pitching staff, once again, 7 runs. You're not going to win like that, guys.
Another slider.
I mean, the Mets can score 5 runs every game, and they'll still lose ball games because the pitching staff can't get out of their own way. Once again, average runs per game given up from Mets pitching is 7.5.
Against Hunter here in the 6th. Thomas now 3 for 3 and a walk. Luis Garcia, who's 2 for 3. He grounds one down to first.
Ground ball, nice play by Alonso, and it's 2 outs.
Hunter for the 2nd half. Well, that's a good play by Canham. We backed up and played the long hop.
Well, game, I wish I can care, but I really don't care about the Yankees. It doesn't really bother me. Good or bad, it really doesn't bother me. Like, if you know, it really doesn't. JL? Yep.
This is 3rd start at first base this year. And Gamble's a hot shot. So 2 out now. Joey Meneses was a pair of run-scoring doubles in this game, 2 for 3.
Well, here's the home run. You can see just above the belt, but out over the plate.
John, what are we selling? There's nothing to sell.
Man has some pop.
Who's going to want a $40 million pitcher? You know,
Top toward the
oh,
third.
that's going to be a base hit.
Hunter's gonna have to put it in his
Well,
pocket
that's a
and
tough
run.
situation, but you put the bat on the ball, things happen. 8
Meneses
set
with
to
a little squib.
Nationals. What are you going to do, right?
And that brings home Thomas with the 2nd run of the inning to make it 8-2.
Again, what the Nationals are doing in this series is exactly what the Mets did all last year. They put the bat on the ball and make the defense make plays. That's what they're doing in this series. And you know what? They're one of the lower strikeout teams. They put the bat on the ball.
524 for the season with runners in scoring.
Well, Todd,
Crazy.
no.
Abram Ruiz unloads one to center field, chasing Nimmo back, away back to the
Oof.
warning track. and
Just
Nimmo
stayed
runs
in the
it
park.
down.
So the Nationals add 2 more runs and make the deficit 6 runs now for the Mets. Not something that the Mets wanted. Well, JL, again, you know, like I said, it's so hard to kill the Braves. Like, I mean, why am I here as Met fan killing the Braves? But I wouldn't say less. I mean, let's be honest. The National League is going to give the Braves the division because nobody's playing well. Like, I mean, the Braves can fall on their face and probably win the division. Like, let's be honest right now, right? I mean, it seems like that. But, I mean, JL, I think you can agree, right? There's one series, I believe I counted correctly. If I'm mistaken, please correct me. The Braves won one series against a team that's over 500. I don't know I think it was the Padres, but I think you lost 3 out of 4 against the Padres. It was somebody you won 2 out of 3 or you swept. That is a pretty good team. Other than that, you've lost every series against a team over 500, good teams. But again, you're in first place for one reason. You have destroyed the bad teams, unlike the Mets, unlike the Phillies. There's the difference in the division right there. It really is. Again, BX, I'm sorry, Alexander, fire Buck. Why? What is that going to change? Your hitters can't hit and run in scoring position. Bad base running mistakes. David Peterson can't get out of his own way. You know, again, when your pitching staff gives up 7.5 runs per ball game, not even the Tampa Bay Rays, who average a little over, 6.5 runs per ball game, will be losing with this pitching staff. Like, seriously. That's how embarrassing the pitching staff is right now. If you don't get quality starts, your lineup is not always going to come back and win ball games. The Mets have to score 8 runs a ball game to try to win a ball game. It's almost impossible. Well, BX, I agree with that, and I just brought that up earlier. But again, that doesn't mean that the Mets prospects they bring up is going to be the savior. Like, you know what? Let's be honest. The Braves have been fortunate that everybody they called up has worked out for the most part. They've been very fortunate in that aspect. But that just because the Braves do it and it works doesn't mean it's going to work for the Mets.
No. I'll leave you hanging, folks, but I'll figure it out.
Well, JL, the good thing for the Braves is that nobody's playing well in the NL East, so you can coast with a lead right now. That's the difference. All right, so the Mets down by 6 runs in the 7th. Long way to come back. Yeah, JL, and that doesn't even make sense.
Beautiful lobby. Machado's numbers right there. He pitched in the opening game of the series and first game of the 2 yesterday.
So you're saying it's his 3rd appearance in the 4 games?
Yeah, that would have been more.
But Alexander, again, he's been changing the lineup. What is he supposed to do? Nobody's hitting. And then they keep on going to Peterson because what else do they have? Honestly, who is going to go there? What are they going to do? Like, who do you want other than Peterson? Luke Casey's already in the rotation.
Kevin Miller. Coach St. Paul now, Maryland, right down the road here.
Well, Ben, they have a lot more room to play bad. Like the Marlins do that every year, right? But again, I think these guys should be up. I'm not arguing with you guys. But let's not act like these guys are going to be the saviors because we see the Braves do it and it works.
But he knocked Willard out, Jack.
That's when they used to let boxing matches go 100 rounds.
Ground ball should be 1 out, and it is.
The easy hop and tosses to Machado for the first out. So Escobar retired. 1 down to the 7th.
That last inning, those 2 runs hurt.
JL, I don't think so. To be honest with you. You know, when your top guys are not hitting, it really doesn't matter who you put in there. Like, who are you going to put in there? No experience, Eric Chavez. Yeah, man, but again, just because, but Hamill can give up 6 runs just like Peterson. What is the difference except for the name on the back of the jersey?
Today, the Nationals have scored in 5 of the 6 innings. 5 of the first 6 innings.
Consuelo, I don't think Perez can help us get back from 6 runs. Beltran as manager. That kind of worked out well, huh?
Takes 1 away, 2 balls and strike.
Ken, it's all your fault. You left and brought the bad mojo. Well, you didn't learn last year. We're having Jansen the entire year, and it burned you. The Braves don't learn their lesson with closers, I guess. Oh, they finally don't make a play. How about that? And Alvarez rushes to second base, and the Mets get 1 out double. Well, it's going to be a 1 out error for sure.
This one he couldn't quite get to, and it's a double for Alvarez.
Talking orange and blue. Listen. That would be nice. But who are you giving up? Because they're going to want somebody in return. You want to give up Mauricio? You want to give up Vientos? What about Beatty? What about Alvarez? You can't because you're probably going to need those guys. There's nothing to give up to get those guys. That's the other issue.
Head first slide. A real diving catch.
9 hits now for the Mets, and Nimmo takes the fastball inside.
Ken, where are you moving to, New York?
And the trend in baseball now is very much in the direction of teams, at least for parts of the season, going with 6-man rotations.
Well, in the middle of a season, you're not going to hire a guy that's been sitting on his ass at home. You don't do that. Baseball teams don't do that. It's going to be somebody on the bench in the Mets organization. That's it. Like, that's what happens. Rob Thompson was the bench coach of Joe Girardi. Hey, Ken, come to North Carolina. My whole family's there. Why are you moving from Florida? What's going on?
So I think it's an interesting dilemma that the Mets have to work their way through. 2-2 down at Nemo.
Clayton, North Carolina. Around, all around the suburbs of Raleigh.
2-2 from Machado. It's taken high 3-2.
Well, Garcia, I can assure you Ken's not going to Charlotte. Oh, maybe he will. Who knows? But yeah, my family lives around the Clayton area, around the around Chapel Hill, around that area. And Nimmo strikes out. Wow. Nimmo got overmatched in that at bat. Charleston, that's South Carolina, right? I do have a coworker that moved there. Oh, Charleston, North Carolina. I don't know anything about that. I don't know it at all. I can't say anything about that. I know Clayton is a nice city that's south of Raleigh. I know that because most of my family is there. Peterson gave up 6 runs. Tommy Hunter gave up the other 2.
6 allowed 2 runs, 8 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 97 pitches, a season high. In line for his second win of the year.
Well, Alexander, that's not true because last year you won 101 games. You know what I'm saying? Like, for years, but that was also the Wilpon era that always gave you garbage, and a lot of us believed it. Right? This year, not so good.
Hannigan. Well, that's 8. To the door. Change up on the way 1 and 2.
Yeah, but Montgomery, you got to understand that. He got, 2 or 3 years left on his rookie deal? The Cardinals just traded for him last year. They're not going to get rid of him. Giolito, maybe, but what are you willing to give up? Because they also got to take some. That's a ground ball, and it should end in it, and it does. And the Mets won't score in the top of the 7th. 8-2 Nationals. Bottom 7. Yeah, I've never been to Charleston, so I don't know. Again, I've been around North Carolina a lot. Again, the last part of my family are moving to North Carolina in 2 weeks. My whole family's in North Carolina. Like, everybody. Except for my father. Like, that's it. Everybody else. Well, I don't know, but has Giolito been good this year? Like, I don't know. I mean, you could probably get him. But again, it's what the White Sox are looking for as well. Like, you can't just say, oh, the Mets should go get him. Well, you have to give up something to get him. And again, if you're not going to trade Vientos or Mauricio, who are you trading in this Mets prospects, right? They're not going to get rid of Alex Ramirez. He's the outfielder of the future. You have no pitching prospects. The Mets can't give up pitching prospects because there'll be even less pitching prospects if you give them up. So, Alexander, I understand that, but it wasn't a false hope because you won the same amount of games as the Braves, and the Braves played one more playoff game than you did. They played one more game in the playoffs than we did. Again, it's not about the 101 wins. You're saying they sold you a bill of goods. No, they didn't. Just because they didn't do well in the playoffs doesn't mean that it was a failure of a season. For a Mets season, which was the second best in history, they didn't sell you anything. Now, if you want to believe the nonsense the Wilpons were throwing you, that's on you. They were throwing you, 99-cent store players and, telling you that, we had, expensive stuff. We were shopping at, the big box stores instead of, the 99-cent store. Joseph, I want to, but I can't, unfortunately. All right. So again, Tommy Hunt is still in the game. I mean, why not at this point? Why kill the bullpen when you're down by 6? And that's a shot. That might be gone. That's going to go out. Oh, it's going to stay in. Huh. How about that? Yeah. But you know what, explosive? Honestly, though, I don't expect Verlander to be bad. And I think Scherzer, if he's healthy, can probably pitch well. Let's be honest. It's the other idiots that can't even get through 5 innings. That's the other problem. Scherzer's not opting out. Hell no. He's not going to get more money than that.
Whatever your playlist is, bring it up. But I don't know if we have the rights to actually use it on the air, but I'd love to know, what song you're talking about. I'll play it for you. I'm familiar with Bing Crosby.
And that's a shot to right center. Marte should get it. And they drop it. Well, nobody called that ball. Well, should have been a can of corn. And Marte and Nimmo just never called the ball. Well, JL, that's the benefit for the Braves right now. The NL East is garbage right now. So the Braves have wiggle room because the NL East is garbage. So to have injuries now when the NL East is playing terrible helps you guys out.
He would have had an inside to Parker. Well, this has been a kind of an embarrassing game for the Mets. That just adds to it. Dom Smith yanks one foul. It's going to be scored a triple for Candelario, but obviously a play that should have been made.
Well, crossface, yeah. And look, the little signings from last year, right, for the Mets really came through. Like the Mets had one of the best benches last year. So that's the small signings that help the team, right? Small signings, right? There was a lot of them, right? Even Cano was not a big signing, but he was productive last year. You're right about that, 100%. I mean, nobody looked like they called it. So, I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's professional baseball. You should get it done. Joe, no, because I think the Mets were a better team last year. Again, why were they a better team? The pitching was better. That's basically it. No, Alexander, that's wrong. They weren't expected to win a World Series last year. Nobody expected the Mets to be that good last year. Let's not act like it. Their projections was 92 wins. Actually, I'm a liar. I think it was 90. So their projections weren't to win a World Series. That's wrong. Don't go by what Cohen said. Projections were 90 wins. And that should be another run in. Let's see if Pham can. Oh, he's out. Oh, he missed it. Alvarez missed the ball. 9-2 Nationals. I'm sorry. Nobody expected the Mets to have a year like that last year. Nobody. And they lost the division because of a tiebreaker. And they had a bad September. Well, technically it wasn't a bad September. It was 500 baseball. Like, that was the one month that they played 500 baseball, where they should have been better. Let's be honest.
Nothing Alvarez could do. It just took an awkward bounce.
Alexander, he was productive last year. Again, you're laughing, but you're wrong. Look at the numbers. He played to the back of his baseball card, what you expect. You know why you're talking about Canna being so bad this year? Because everybody else who's supposed to be good isn't. And that's why Canna is more on the spotlight now. If Alonso and Lindor are killing it, Canna's an afterthought. Well, Ken, maybe the Mets weren't wrong, right?
Now they get into a much more challenging part of their schedule. So the question is,
looks like I got I put on a cassette of the Bad News Bears.
Record in baseball. Guardians don't score very much, but pitch extremely well, and then the revamped Cubs at Wrigley Field, and then at Colorado after that. Last time the Mets won a series here was in Dodger Stadium. Then remember, they won the first two in San Francisco, and they dropped to the lost the last.
Well, Andre, Alvarez was a big problem in a couple of runs scored by the Nationals. Bad base runner where the Mets could have took a lead with the bases loaded, made a bad throw to second, and couldn't catch a ball that was right to him.
2-2 to Garrett is 0-2 in a walk in this game. And Hunter gets him looking on a high pass.
And Tommy strikes out to end the inning, but gives up another run, 9-2 Nationals. Well, again, true, right? With JL, I understand that. They got to make a few moves. But, again, for everybody that wants the moves, who are you trading to get this team better? Because all the prospects you want up are what the Mets have to trade. They don't got nothing else in the system to trade. You can't trade your pitching prospects because you got 3 of them that are in your top 15 that you can't get rid of because then you have no pitching at all in your minor league system that could be ready in a year or two. Like, let's be honest. Like, what trades are you expecting? That's the problem. Buzz, sell Scherzer on what? Where are you selling them? Who's taking $40 million? Nobody. Again, nobody's selling yet, guys. Relax. You got to relax. It's terrible right now. It's embarrassing. But JL, who's a Brave fan, can't be a guy that has a reasonable thoughts here, guys. Yeah, but JL, how are you going to do that when you can't give up the prospects you're going to be using at the top level, in the majors? You know what I'm saying? Well, Yamid, that's why I got mad at Billy Epler, because year by year, you never know what can happen. The Mets could have had a monster trade deadline. When your team is that good, you help that team get better at the deadline. Every team did it. It seemed like the Mets didn't want to, right? Even the Braves got a little bit better. Guess what? The Phillies bolstered their bullpen a little bit better, right? The Astros got a little bit better. Even the Yankees actually tried to make some trades. They got to the ALCS. You know what I'm saying? We're so focused on the future and that's all I heard from Mets fans last year. Oh, you can't trade Vientos. You can't trade this guy. Why not? Because you never know what's going to happen the following year. And the same people that didn't want to trade the prospects to make that team better, and who knows what would have happened if the Mets had a really good trade deadline, could have took them over the top. But when you get Givens, Vogelback, and Ruff, and, oh, by the way, Tyler Naquin, what is that going to do for you? Nothing. So Alonso is up. Edwards is pitching for the Nationals. 7-run lead for the Nationals. And Studs, it's not over. How about this, Studs? The Mets actually gained a game and a half on the Braves and a game and a half in the wild card. So the season's not over. You're wrong. Sorry.
Last time the Mets had a 4-game series where they didn't hit a home run, 2013, to the great Sarah Langs. That was honest.
But it's not about middle relief. They could have got a bigger bat at the deadline other than Ruff and Vogelback, who were absolutely garbage. Alexander, they didn't miss out on Soto. The Nationals weren't trading him to the Mets. The GM came out and said it. It had nothing to do with the Mets. Why would the Mets not want Soto? And, oh, by the way, how are the Padres doing with Soto? Because they choked as well, by the way. Soto did nothing in that playoff series. Soto has been a shell of himself ever since he's been a Padre. So let's not act like Soto was going to make a difference here, because he wasn't.
This yard without tattooing at least one. All career home runs in this ballpark.
I did see that, Grant. and another hard hit ball right out of the fielder. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Andrew. A couple of my 7-line friends. Love those guys. Stezo, he might, to be honest with you. He might. But again, would Ohtani make this team so much better? One player? I'm sorry. He wouldn't make a difference on his team right now. Yeah, but Alexander, this isn't the NBA where the player says, I want to go there, and it happens. The Nationals GM said he's not trading them to the Mets or the NL East. So that wasn't happening. The Mets could have gave up anything for Soto. But what has Soto done for the Padres? He's hitting 50 points less. Home runs are down. RBIs are down. Defense is terrible. Well, binge podcast. Listen, I have no problem with that. As bad as the Mets have been, they should have done that. But, they try to put makeup on a pig sometimes in years past. But again, the Mets can't build like the Orioles because they're not the Orioles. You can hide away in Baltimore and have a bad 15-year stretch and finally be good with all your number 1, number 2, number 3 picks. It took 20 years, 15 years. Good for you. Beat the Yankees for us. Why not? Cezo, that might be true. But again, money talks. I tell you that.
Years. He used to do St. Louis Mets games, and he would do spring training games for the Mets.
Yeah, but that was also the 70s and the 80s when they were basically a 10-year expansion team at that point in the 70s, But again, they miraculously won in 69, so they got a championship within 7 years of inaugural season. So, that's a whole different story there. But Alexander, guys like Lindor, he was your second best player last year. Like, what are you talking about? Like, let's not act like Rosario and Jimenez would have made the Mets play better last year. How can they play better? Like, that doesn't make sense. Maybe Rosario is a better player outside of New York than he is playing in New York. Jimenez, I agree with you. I think he was going to be a good player. But Jimenez is not going to make or break the Mets. Like, let's be honest. Wow, nice play. And the 8th inning is over. 9-2 Nationals going to the bottom of the 9th. But again, Alexander, you're not getting it, buddy. You're not. Jimenez is not going to make or break the Mets being a championship team. Let's be honest about that. Like, let's be honest. Rosario could never do anything with the Mets. Now he's in a place where nobody cares in Cleveland, where there's no pressure. Appreciate it, Binge. I'm gonna take a listen to that podcast. Again, I'm a podcast guy. I like to listen to podcasts, so I'm gonna check you out for sure. Listen a little bit of Orioles. Talk about Orioles baseball. Why not? Maybe when the Mets face, do we face the Orioles this year? I think we do, right? Yeah, we do. Maybe I'll put you on. We'll have a little conversation about the two teams. Hopefully the Mets ain't done and buried by then when the Orioles might be winning, winning a wild card spot, maybe even division. You never know. Buzz? Okay, yes, he has actually. You see, this is where people like. Do you understand what's going on right now? Lindor is 3rd in the league in extra base hits. Right? He's top 10 in RBIs. Average, I'll give you that. The average needs to go up. But he's been one of the Mets' productive hitters. Right? Isn't the point of the game run production? He has the same amount of RBIs as Pete Alonso. Like, that doesn't go for nothing. Alexander, but he's not having a bad year. Like, again, we look at the contract. All right, we look at the contract, right? Is Trey Turner's contract working out so far? No, right? No big contract works out. Nobody's big contract works out. Like, it's not. That's just obviously.
Leads off against Tommy Hunter and starts his third.
All right, buddy. Have a good day, buddy.
Save the rest of the bullpen.
I agree, Alexander, but a good year. What? Because the Mets were terrible, and it looked like a good year. Like, let's not act like Rosario is anywhere near Lindor or any of the best shortstops in baseball, because he's really not. Well, Alan, again, they keep on throwing breaking balls to C.J. Abrams when he can't catch up to a fastball.
It's adjustment and adjustment to adjustment. Game tilts back and forth. Pitchers starting to take advantage of those groove low ball swings by pitching up in the zone.
Yeah, Buzz, that ain't happening. You know how much you got to give up to get Gallen? Like, who are you trading, Buzz? Come on.
Abrams now with 6 hits in the series, including a couple of home runs.
You want to trade him Vogelback? I'll take it, but that's not happening.
3 for 3 and a walk, 2 doubles, 3 runs scored.
Tilly does it. I don't know what the Phillies have won. Phillies have missed the playoffs more times with Harper than what Harper has been there, 3 years, 4 years already? They made the playoffs once. Like, let's not act like the Phillies have been a great team, right? Harper left the Nationals. The next year, they won the World Series.
First time that Thomas has been struck out today. Second strikeout for Tommy Hunter. Obi Harris is up in the Washington bullpen.
Hunter's taking the brunt of it, right? No, Alexander, I just said to you that his average needs to pick up.
Not check to see whether Justin Verlander went ahead of the team back to New York, but I have to think that he did. Get ready for his.
But other than average, which all of a sudden people care about average when nobody cares about it anymore, right? Let's not make the argument like people were caring about averages. Because if you talk everybody around baseball, that might be a double play. And it's a bad throw by Guillorme.
He'll stay in play, and Garcia will settle for first base. 3-6 on the fielder's choice for the second out.
Alexander, 6 home runs is on pace for what his career numbers are. Like, could we stop that? He's on average to hit 25 home runs, which is exactly where his career average is. Lindor is not a home run hitter. Where do you get that from? A home run hitter is 30 home runs or more in my book. But why does Lindor need to hit 10 home runs? He's not a power hitter, guys. Well, at the very least, he's saving the pen. That's a shot. Uh-oh, here we go again. And nobody catches it again. It's like the Bermuda Triangle out there. And that is 10 runs for the Nationals.
They score for the 7th time in 8 innings. It's now 10-2 Washington. Menendez's 4th hit of the day, his 3rd double, and his 4th run batted in.
Agree, Ken.
With it. And the ball up in the strike zone. And
Mark, let's just hope. Look, I'm not a Jet fan, but let's just hope all the Jets hype doesn't turn into what the Mets are right now with all their hype going into the season, because that would be a freaking disaster for you guys too. And that ends the inning. Going to the top of the ninth. Last licks, the Mets down by 8. Listen, guys. Here's the problem with a lot of you Met fans that don't understand about looking at numbers. Last year, Lindor, what he had? 25 home runs, 101 RBIs. That is right on par with his career average in home runs. RBIs, it's a little more above, actually. Right? First year, Are you shocked that he had a bad year his first year? I'm not, because everybody has a bad first year in New York when they see to have big contracts. Right? But he's on pace to hit his career average. He's on pace for over 100 RBIs and on pace for 25 home runs. Come on, guys. Don't bring up average when nobody cares about average in baseball anymore. Don't bring it up. Because when I bring up average, I get killed for it. Right? I don't see McNeil getting $150 million contract because he hits for average, because he doesn't hit for RBIs. He's not a run producer. He doesn't hit home runs. All he does well is hit for average. So if average matters in baseball now, then shouldn't McNeil get $300 million? Plus, Lindor has been one of the best defensive shortstops in the last 2 years. So you got to add that on. I guess defense don't matter either. But as soon as he makes an error, you get on him for being a bad defensive shortstop, right? Doesn't work like that. All right? Let's not act like average matters now, but now you're going to use average as a defense of why Lindor doesn't deserve a contract. Nobody deserves. Is Aaron Judge's performance in his contract? No. Which nobody should expect him to have a year like last year, again. But let's be honest. Lindor got paid because he was one of the first shortstops that was moved prior to all the shortstops being free agents. Really, Alexander? You want to check Mike Piazza's first year? Check it again. And we're talking about Mike Piazza, who's a Hall of Famer. Lindor is not a Hall of Famer. That's totally different. Like, come on. You're gonna put Piazza to the Lindor? That's stupid.
The first three here in Washington, but the Nats poised to get a split as Toby Harris comes in to try and get.
Grant, you should tell Alexander that average has been down across the board. Gio, they should 100%. I'll be there. Listen, they don't perform. I'm gonna boo the hell out of them. I have no problem booing them. Marte, first ball hidden, and it should be one out, and it is. Well, once again, guys, after this game, 8 o'clock, the Shea Bridge show with me and Hayden. Again, the Mets are going to lose this ball game. We're going to have a lot to talk about. But nobody lives up to those contracts. I'm sorry, Pujols didn't live up to that contract.
Got some pieces. Jeff McNeil 1 for 3 today. He takes a fastball for a strike.
But you're looking at the contract and acting like he's going to hit 40 home runs when he never did in his career. That's the problem. What you're doing, Alexander. That's the problem. And that's a base hit for Jeff McNeil.
For his second hit of the day. Jeff has the 10th man hit.
He's hit the ball hard all 4 times. Only got 2 hits to show for it. Look at him wait on this little splitter, and that's how it's done. Well done, Jeff.
If that's the case, McNeil's not living up to his contract then, right?
First and third, with the Mets only down by 4 runs, and it was Scorcher to left that was caught. Here's Escobar, who's 1 for 3.
Well, then if that's the case, then look at Lindor's last 2 months of the season. He actually played better his first year. So it's basically the same, right on par with Piazza, with career stats-wise by their own back of the baseball time. Let's hope Jeff is coming around. That would be nice. Well, when your pitching staff gives up 10 runs, it's kind of hard for your offense to look happy, right? Actually, we're down a touchdown on a 2-point and a safety.
In this 9th inning, there'll be 2 games under 500.
Well, how about this idea, guys? The Mets can't beat bad teams. Maybe they'll beat the good teams. Who knows? This season is kind of backwards.
Swept in the series by Toronto. That's poked the other way.
And that's a base hit. Rally time. Here we go.
Each side of the plate. That's a 2-man on for Alvarez.
and my dad is calling me.
He keeps on wanting to throw that splitter away.
Hold on, guys.
Just gonna take
Listen
it.
to the game. I'll be right back.
Outside.
Hello.
Just a little slap into left field.
Nothing. I'm live on YouTube. What's up? I'm live on YouTube.
So now Alvarez,
What's
who
up?
had a fly ball double his last time up, 1 for 2 and a walk. Double snapped an 0 for 10 stretch for Alvarez. And he takes that splitter out of the strike zone for
That's
ball
great.
1.
So they should owe you money.
Harris got forced out on one pitch. He's given up back-to-back hits now.
Oh.
Nimmo on deck.
Ooh, nice. Oh, can you do me a favor? Can you actually come to the
Cutter
night?
sale
Because I
outside.
bought a
It's
couch
2-0.
and it's coming on Wednesday and it might come when I'm out.
Harris making his second appearance in the series. He worked in yesterday's second game.
Yeah, sure.
No runs,
All
one
right.
hit. in
I'm
his
sorry,
second
I didn't mean to, but they can only come on Wednesday, and I don't want to wait a week to
After
do
that,
it.
he went in.
I got to recline the couch.
That's 2-1. After
All
Corbin
right,
and
yeah, let me
Lyman
go
went
back to
today,
that.
6
By the
innings,
way,
2
Mets
runs,
will
8
be
hits under Machado, and Carl Edwards each to a
Okay.
scoreless
Well,
inning for
Mets will
Washington,
lose
and
to
now
the-
Harris trying to get these final 2 outs.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
And Alvarez takes a fastball. strike.
Sorry, guys.
2-2.
Joe, yes, we are, 8 o'clock.
It'll be backing up.
Sorry, guys.
His
The
highlight.
man who made me a Mets fan called me, my father.
So tomorrow night, you're driving home, and I'm flying home out of Reagan.
It's all his fault.
We'll get home.
All the pain is because of him.
2-2 coming, and that's Leonard low away, and it's 3-2.
Ken, I think you heard the conversation.
Justin Verlander on the City Field now. Last time
Hey, let's go, studs. I'll be there Thursday and Saturday. I might do a show from the bridge while I'm jumping. I might jump into the bullpen. Why not?
Bullpen, he's going to have another big year.
Well, Mets got bases loaded with 1 out.
Bases are loaded.
Well, I mean, we're probably still going to lose, but it's kind of nice that the Mets are actually trying in the 9th inning. They could just, not care and just go back home, right? At least they're putting up a fight. I guess something to look positive for, I guess. Oh, we got the top of the order. 1 out, bases loaded. You know, if there's any saving grace here, the Mets did come back last year against the Phillies down by a lot of runs, right? I think it was 7 runs instead of 8, but hey, you never know, right? And we did that with what? Mostly 2 outs? I know. I'm picking at straws here, but hey, you never know. Ooh. Mets never came back from 8 runs down in the 9th inning in their history. But I think last year, I think they only came, this is the second time they came back from 7 runs. I think the one time was against the Braves when the Piazza Ventura years.
That was extraordinary.
Yeah, unfortunately, they took out Lindor. And now Guillorme is batting next. That's crazy. I agree, Ken. Again, little things in the game that can change a game.
There's always hope, because even though it's a pitch clock, the game can last forever if you keep on hitting.
Oh, BX, I'm sorry. No, don't get me wrong. Look, I didn't take my dad on the Jets, even though I'm a Cowboys fan, so that's not much better. But, I'm a Rangers fan, so. No, so it's not that look.
3-1 to Nimmo.
Wait until the game's over. I'll talk about that. But
Bases loaded, 1 out, and Nimmo fouls.
like honestly, 8th run 8. That was it. Yes, Jay. Exactly. But we had a couple more innings to get back from that. But we did. Yeah, like I said, it's not about believing. It's just the fact that I look at the fact that the National League is garbage this year, and even though the Mets have been so bad, there's actually a chance if they play 500 baseball, they would be in first place right now.
3-2 coming. Nimmo floats one behind third foul.
Oh, studs. God, the 90s were a long time ago, buddy.
We got another game underway.
And it's funny. The reason why I'm not a Jets fan, which I followed my dad and everything else, my grandfather used to watch me on Sundays, and he was a huge Cowboys fan. And he used to sit me down every Sunday watching the Cowboys game. With the Aikmans, Smiths,
So happy.
Irvins, Sanders, all those guys. That's a chopper.
To the right side, Garcia bare hands.
Safe. Oh.
Nimmo at first, he beats it out. And that
Okay.
makes it a run. Close play, but Paul Emmel said he beat it.
He might be out, though.
So that'll be an infield hit for Nimmo. It drives in a run as McNeil scores to make it 10-3.
All right, they're checking. He might be out at first.
With the naked eye, it looked like he was out.
Well,
let's see.
No, I think
Nice
the Islanders. Let's see. Ooh, that's close. Yeah, he's out. He looked like he's going to be out, guys.
The run will still come home. But it looks like that's going to be
Feels like it, Jay, right? All right, guys, so the play's under review. Looks like Nimmo's out in the replay. But remember, this year, if you notice something about replay, if it's not 100%, they don't change the call. You know what? I would love for the Orioles to do some damage. You know about the Rangers, the Islanders are a little bit older than the Rangers, so I have a little bit of hope with the Rangers. Yep, they call them out, guys. So 2 outs. So the run does score. The Mets have 2 outs with second and third in the ninth.
So good play by Garcia. And now the Mets are down to their final lap.
DAs.
10-3. Give Nimmo an RBI. It's 18. And Guillorme was back for the first time in the game. Game on at shortstop.
All right, so our big hitter's up. Guillorme.
Guillorme 0 for 4 in this
Gary
series.
Hart from Islanders Pass.
Second and third and 2 down.
You know, the A's might actually lose more games than the 62 Mets. The 62 Mets still have that record. I think the A's are going to beat it. Yeah, but Buzz, what's their incentive to giving him up? He's cheap right now. He's under contract for a rookie contract for a couple more years, and you got to give the entire farm. You want to give up Beatty? You want to give up Mauricio? Because that's where you're going to have to give up.
Takes that splitter down. 2 balls in the strike.
Well, Alexander, that's the issue there. The Panarin that doesn't show up in the playoffs. You're right. 0-3 Tigers.
25th pitch of the inning. That's coming for Harris.
Oh!
Hits one out to right field.
Oh, just missed it. 1-track power for Guillorme, and the ball game is over. The New York Mets get walloped in the series finale, 10-3. They're showing a close-up of Marte looking lost, which I agree. Mets have lost 9 of the last 13 games. All 13 games have been teams under 500. Detroit, Colorado, Cincinnati, and now Washington. So not what you want from a stretch where the Mets should have got fat in the win column. Unfortunately, and all of their fault. And you know what? They're showing the Mets faces right now. I tell you, they all look lost right now. And you know what? Look, a big part of the game, and it was a 1-1 ball game. When Alvarez, now again, the Mets might have gave up 10 runs anyway, but when Alvarez got picked off at first, with 1 out with bases loaded, with Nimmo up, that changed the game. Again, the Mets scored 3 runs and they gave up 10. But again, that could have been a momentum shift in the game can change the entire game. And like Ken said, that was the start of a problem for this game. Alvarez getting picked off. And you know what? I love they showed Alvarez until they went to commercial. Alvarez looks pissed off and not happy with himself. And that's what I like to see from a young player. And listen, he was staying in the dugout just looking. I'm glad I see that because that's the way every player should feel, the way we feel. Again, they don't because, let's be honest, we care more than the players most of the time. I think we all can agree with that. But the New York Mets got to get back winning ball games. And you know what? It's not going to get easier. We got the Rays, the best team in baseball. We got the Guardians, who are a solid team, who put the ball in play, and they're a pest to play with. And you already know that Jimenez and Rosario are going to beat up the Mets at home. You already know that's going to happen, right? And then we face the Cubs. And the Cubs are a 500 ball club, but They got good pitching. Yeah, I agree with that, Ken. And you know what? I'd like to see, look, they're going to talk to Alvarez, and he's going to blame himself. Again, the blame goes everywhere. But it was a 1-1 ball game when that happened. The Mets could have broke the game open at that point. Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to kill Alvarez for having one bad game. Like, he's been playing good for us. But again, he's also batting 150 with runners in scoring position. So let's not act like he's, knocking the ball around with runners in scoring position. Again, I'm not going to kill him alone because it's the whole team. But that was a huge play in the game. That was a big momentum shift there. The Mets got one run from that, bases loaded with 1 out. That was a huge play right there. That changed the momentum in that ball game. Again, you should still beat the Nationals. There's no excuse there. But when you're playing bad and things like that happen, it's a trickle-down effect. No, it's okay, Yamid. Don't worry. Jimenez will get hot against the Mets. We all know that's going to happen. Rosario and Jimenez are going to kill the Mets. The Mets might win ball games, but Jimenez and Rosario are going to destroy us. We all know that. Ex-Mets kill the Mets. It always happens. Yeah, I like Jimenez too. Well, BX, probably not. Because let's be honest, the Mets gained a game and a half after the Braves series. They were down after the Braves series. We were out 7 games in the division. We're 6 because we lost today, and the Braves I don't think played yet. But we were before the game started. We were 5.5 games, so we gained a game and a half after playing terrible, and we also gained a game and a half in the wild card. I don't understand that. I don't get it. But the Braves are also lost 4 in a row, and it kept the Mets within 5.5 games. And Ken, well, let's be honest. The Braves don't bank. I talked about this, guys, already. The Braves don't beat good teams. They don't. JL's here. He knows it. Look, JL comes back on this channel and has good conversations, and he's a Brave fan that doesn't troll but talks facts. JL, the Braves don't beat good teams, right? They had one series this year that they beat a team over 500. They got dominated by the Rays. They got dominated by the Astros. They looked terrible against the Blue Jays. And now they got Texas, who's in first place in the AL West. Right? They don't beat good teams. But what the Braves do well, which is helping them almost every year, they destroy bad teams. They dominate bad teams. That's the difference. Right now, and I said this already earlier today, if the Mets over this last 20-game stretch were 10-10, they would be in first place by a game and a half. You see, exactly, Jay. They beat, that was the team. They beat the Orioles. Other than that, they lost every series. They lost to the Padres, lost to the Dodgers. They lost to the Mets. I'm sorry, they beat the Mets, but the Mets weren't even at 500. Let's be honest, right? So do you want to count the Mets as an over 500 team when they faced the Braves? Because I think they were 2 games over 500. Buzz, why not? They took 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers and the Padres. How did that team do that? Again, would anybody be shocked that the Mets suck against bad teams and actually play well against good teams? I appreciate that, Crossface. Yeah. Again, no, like I said, it's baseball, guys. Bad teams beat good teams all the time. Again, did everybody watch the series against the Yankees with the Rays? The Rays bullpen is absolutely terrible. Their starting pitching is good, but they also lost the starter too that dominated the Yankees. They're not there. He's gone. Their bullpen is absolutely terrible. What they do, they outscore their opponents. That's what they do. Other than their starting pitching, which is very good, their bullpen is one of the worst in the league. And that's been a problem for them. They were up 6-0, and they almost lost that game. right? But again, the Rays find ways to win. And their offense is the best in baseball, runs per game. Again, people don't like to use the runs per game, but they'll bring up the Rays. Oh, look at the Rays. Look what they're doing with a low payroll. Okay, but if the runs are skewed for the Mets and the runs per game doesn't show the entire offensive, stats, don't use it for them. Well, yeah. Again, I called the Nestor Cortez. Again, the guy has one good year and never had a good year in his career. Has one good year. And guess what? Hitters and teams know how to know what's coming now. And they adjusted to him. Nestor Cortez has not adjusted yet. But once again, guys, Peterson had another opportunity to actually show that he belongs in the big leagues. He miserably failed. Mets lose 10-3. I don't care how much the offense could have scored 7 runs and we were still lost. I agree. I didn't like the lineup at all. But let's be honest. I don't care what lineup you would have put out there. You gave up 10 runs. Like, this team was not winning this ball game. You can't give up 10 runs and expect to win. So, once again, guys, 8 o'clock, me and Hayden will be on the Shea Bridge show that me and him host. Tune into that. It's about an hour away, so make sure you tune into that. We got a lot to talk about, guys. So, and you're going to hear a lot of negatives towards this Mets team. You can't lose this year. You can't not take 3 out of 4 against the Nationals. Once again, Fausto, I agree with you. Bring the kids up, but don't expect miracles with these kids because Beatty and Alvarez are up, and the Mets have a losing record with them. Exactly. So with that said, guys, the Mets lose. They split the series against the Nationals. That should not happen. But the Mets, during a stretch where they faced Detroit, Colorado, Cincinnati, and the Nationals, did not perform well at all. So with that said, 8 o'clock tonight, if you guys have time, hang out with us. Let's talk a little bit more about the Mets. We're going to talk about all the games over the past week and look ahead to the Rays and Guardians series. And, of course, me and Hayden's rants to start the stream. So make sure you check that out at 8 o'clock today. Everybody have a great day, guys. Unfortunately, we didn't get a win for our New York Mets. The Mets are back to 2 games under 500, 20-22 on the season, but yet find themselves somehow in striking distance of a playoff spot. It's crazy, but it's actually true because the National League sucks this year. With that said, I'll see you guys in an hour. Have a great night, guys. If you want to take a couple of sips of shots of whiskey, vodka, whatever you want to take, drink a little bit of beer to make yourself feel better on this Monday. Everybody have a good night. I'll see you in about an hour. As always, Met fans, let's go Mets. I'll see you later tonight, guys. Good night.